All
This
right,
conference will now be recorded.
call to order the regular town council meeting for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, from the town of Surfside Beach. We'll start with an invocation from Pastor Oki Landers, the Pine Drive Gospel Church.
Let's pray. Father, again, at the outset of this meeting, we humble ourselves before you. Father, we truly seek your face for such times as this. We do indeed acknowledge your sovereignty, your power, your authority over all things, as Scripture declares. You do your will in the armies of heaven, among the inhabitants of the earth. None can stay your hand. That if you will, we will. That man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth forth out of your mouth. That in you we live, move, and have our being. That of you, through you, to you are all things. And Father, in recognition of that, we so thank you for the grace, for the mercy, for the blessings which are ours in this great country that we're a part of, this wonderful state, Heavenly Father, of South Carolina, and Lord, the very special community of Surfside. Truly, your grace, mercy, and blessing has abounded to us. And Father, we pray that it will continue to abide our country, our state, and especially our community this evening. But not just abide, that you will abound to us in these things. Father, to that end, I pray that you will just give special guidance to our leaders at the national level, the state level, but Lord, especially those before us, that they will always act out of total absence of self-interest, always with wisdom and righteousness and in accordance with truth, Holy Father. And that ultimately the issue will be that which is your will and which is pleasing in your eyes. But we also pray, Lord, that especially in these times, for that you will restrain evil. Lord, that you will deliver us from that evil one who works behind the scenes in the spiritual realm. And Father, above all this evening, with great thanks, we give you thanks for our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ, for the so great salvation which he has purchased and accomplished in our behalf. And it is in his holy name we pray this evening. And again, ask your blessings upon these men who lead us and upon this special community, this wonderful community that we are a part of. Again, in our Lord's name, amen.
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 Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right, we're now moving to item number 3, motions relating to the agenda. All right, we have none. Item number 4, minutes approval. Do I hear a motion for the approval?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kreckhoff.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for June 25th, 2024.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Pinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckl,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yeah.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Minutes are approved. Item number 5, public comments. Agenda items only. Do we have any public comments? Yes, sir.
Tom Banish with the Business Committee. I'm just here tonight to clarify anything that might need clarification regarding the West facade agreement. That's the only reason I'm here, okay? So when you get to that, if you need to ask me any question, I'd be happy.
Very good, thank you. Any other public comments? All right, item number 6, adaptive surf project. Is Mr. Sharp available yet?
No, sir. Mr. Shaw just landed in the airport and will be here at 6:30. So if we can shuffle that a little bit.
All right, do I need to ask for a shuffle of the agenda?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I mean, he's not here.
Very good, all right. But we'll squeeze him in when he gets there. All right, then we'll move on to item number 8A, Wild West Design Overlay Improvement Grant. Director Garrison?
Good evening. I'm just gonna give you a brief run through of what the Wild West plans to do. They are removing the rotten deck that's out front, their place, and any rotten, wooden on the siding, not the siding, any wooden on the sign, they're gonna remove that, and they're gonna paint what was white, they're gonna repaint it white, and what was green, they're gonna repaint it green. And then they're removing the roof and replacing it with a green metal roof. Y'all have any questions regarding that? If so, Mr. Banish just mentioned he might be able to answer questions.
What I think I'd like to do, just for expediency's sake, is entertain a motion first, and then we'll do the discussion and questions at the same time.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Wild West Design Overlay Improvement Plan.
I'll second. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the grant as submitted. Is there any discussion, and including questions for Director Garrison?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
even though there is a provision for landscape, they're not asking for money for landscaping, are they?
No, sir, they did not ask for money for
Okay.
landscaping.
Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kreckler?
I'd like to say that I really don't believe that just repainting and, I don't know, it's more maintenance than it is a facade upgrade. And the shingles, really, why pay to replace shingles? That's their responsibility also, in my opinion. I'd love to have someone pay to put shingles on my house when I need new ones, but it doesn't happen. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Anything else?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
does this overlay grant, does it cover for them to put a worn out roof and fix it? Or is it more for, you have an old building and you want to dress it up, you want to beautify it?
Honestly, I'm probably not the best person to answer that question.
Tom, you want to take it? Yeah. Mr. Banish?
I believe the purpose of the grant, excuse me, is an incentive for people to fix up their properties. So in this case, they might not do anything if the grant wasn't there and leave it looking like that. Our goal is to have everybody who can make improvements like that, and if we can help by, a lot of people make improvements without ever looking for any money. Kentucky Fried Chicken just painted their whole building, and, and that looks fantastic, but when it comes to something like this as a small business, I think the incentive is to help them do it.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Wells?
I just wanted to draw your all's attention to some of these figures too, guys. He's spending a great deal more than he's asking for a little bit of help. Because he's gonna be spending quite a lot of money. And it's nice, and I believe it's within the intent of the grants that we laid forth, so I would support it.
One thing I'd just like to say, we're starting to see more interest in these grants from businesses. And I think that's a good thing for us because they didn't even know about it before. And now people are, calling, and we have another grant request that just came in today. So, I think what we're trying to do is working. And I think we incentivize people to fix up their places. And if we start to nitpick on things like this, then we disincentivize.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say that I can understand the point of view that this is regular maintenance that a building owner could certainly undertake. But on the other hand, we did approve funds for this kind of work, so it seems to make sense to go along with that, not that we will pull the rug back out from under them after we've approved the idea. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stain?
I'd like to make a comment. I think this would be, like Tom said, it would be a great deal to motivate other businesses to start cleaning up their buildings a little bit. If we give a little help to this guy, and maybe the next one come along and make their building upgraded a little bit. I think it's a great idea, and that's what we set this money aside for anyway.
All right, is there anything else? Thank you, Mr. Banish. Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckloff,
No,
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. All right, we're moving. Resolution 24-0174, ATAX funding reallocation. And all this is a resolution that declaring what we voted on last meeting to reappropriate $83,000 roughly $83,000 in ATAX funding. Is there any, well, yeah, I guess I've got to ask for a motion to approve that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Walls?
I would like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 24-0173, a tax funding relocation.
second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
It's 174, according to my paper.
Sorry.
173
I'm
here,
looking at this.
174 here.
Okay, it's at 3,
I
okay.
don't know if it's
We have
3
both
or
of
4,
them.
because it does say 4 on here, yes.
Yeah.
I was just reading from the top of the resolution.
Yeah, but the agenda says 7-4.
But it is 3.
Okay.
It is 3 though.
I don't know. Sherry, Gary, is it 3 or 4?
I didn't prepare this packet, so I can't sit here and tell you what it should be.
Mr. Vincent.
We'll correct which, if it's supposed to be 4, it'll be 4.
Okay.
Question for you, Attorney. Yes, we can do that. Okay.
Clear
what motion that we're voting on.
Yes, okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the ATAX funding reallocation.
There you go.
Resolution number to be determined. To be corrected as necessary. All right, is there any discussion? Ms. Medina?
Who seconded?
I did.
Thanks. Mr. Kreckloff,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion carries unanimously and is approved. All right. Peer committee recommendations. Dusty McCracken, Chair of the Peer Committee. And we're going to keep the cadence up, right?
Well, it seems like we're going pretty fast today.
We are.
We've been doing.
I am going to ask that we allow the guys to just do the presentation and keep the questions till the end. I think it will flow a lot better that way.
Alex, you may have to turn the, yeah, I think mine went to sleep.
You put the choke on?
I don't know if it's on.
No, it's coming, it's coming.
Oh, there.
While we wait on that to come up, I'm Dustin Kraken, Chairman of the Peer Committee. I also have many members of the Peer Committee here tonight, got Alex Samsel, got Rick, and Bob Gordon back in the back there. We're 5 residents of the town, so pretty deep into the pier and what's going on around the surrounding pier. A lot of work over the last 2 years for that.
That should be,
So, so
do what you did before.
I just unplugged it.
you've been fixed for everything.
It did take 2 minutes, being blue before it popped up.
I think it's actually USB.
think we should have a better system than this.
Well, you brought it up before the meeting that it works.
So the guy we're pointing up, I got, sorry about that. Well, I'll take it out of the presentation.
Get some bad advice after.
It should, but- I'd say give it one more minute.
Got anybody in their twenties that know how to do this?
They wasn't jumping on before the meeting.
Alex, look, is that a USB that it's plugged into, or is it an HDMI?
That's on HDMI over there too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, just wondered. Okay. Well, then it should come back on. It was working.
Show you something?
Oh, yeah, I can review the paper version.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go.
Well, did that last time. And then it takes a second.
There we
That's
go.
different.
Hey.
Hey, looks like progress.
We're out there rolling.
All right.
Talk fast.
All right, guys, thank y'all for inviting the peer committee out to provide these recommendations. We have, if you see the first slide here, we have 2 awareness items and then 8 recommendations for you guys to review tonight. We'll start off with the awareness item of a peer ATM. So the town asked for the peer committees for the thoughts of placing an ATM on the pier. The item presented to the pier committee was ATM would be installed on the pier at no cost to the town, and the town will share a portion of the revenue generated for the ATM being present on the pier. And the peer committee's opinion on that is, assuming the ATM is non-intrusive at no cost and generates revenue, we would recommend it to ATM. Unsure of actual need for cash withdrawals around the pier, and then would desire to explore future automation potentials. So ATM with capabilities of selling, possibility of selling fishing passes, selling parking passes. There's a lot of software and stuff and other ATMs that we're aware of that kind of offer different kind of options for selling passes and generating probably attraction passes, stuff like that. So it'd be a good idea to probably look into that possibility around here. Next item will be the awareness item of the pier logo contest. This was a previous item shared. We've been working on this for a very long time. Town will be launching the Surfside Beach Pier logo contest. So logo to be used on social media, future signage, marketing, and potential merchandise, and be designed to engage the public in a fun pier-related activity. And the contest details, we look to run this contest for 6 weeks. We'll have a media release to drive participation in that. Contest to closure, the town retains rights to the submission, so we had, I believe the administrator reached out to the attorney and got a good disclaimer to put on that, so we'll own the rights to all submissions. Top 3 submissions selected by the peer committee, and then we will submit those 3 to the town council to decide those logos. And then we would like to possibly award of submissions and making sure by a media article, social media spotlight, possibly the choice of a fishing pass or maybe a parking pass, and or a monetary gift as well. And if you think about your logo, why we recommend that is if you look up and down the Grand Strand, you recognize things by a logo or a picture. So it's a good item to be able to utilize to identify our pier. All right, next item is a pier delivery area. We invited most of the tenants that's already on the pier to one of our meetings. We discussed a lot of information about how their opening was and also any things that we can improve on and stuff. So they recommended a pier delivery zone. Perry's will be having live bait and stuff being delivered. So That's not on a schedule or anything, so they were requesting some kind of dedicated area where that pivot will understand deliveries will be parked there. We're not able to ticket those individuals. And then also just identify an area that any kind of delivery, there's a lot of delivery trucks and stuff in that parking lot. So we'd like to do some things with that. So use a section of the parking lot to allow quick stop deliveries without occupying an existing parking space. And if you see, use examples include the daily base drop off and light inventory unloading. And then, of course, Public Works direction on that, or active or passive delivery zone. You see the picture there, we've identified a little area that's possible, and we put some painting and stripes on there to identify as well. So active zone, painted and signed delivery area, and then the passive zone would be unmarked area where tenants, police, and Pivot know that it is allowed. So really our concern was just making sure that the police and the Pivot or anybody issuing parking tickets are aware that vehicles can be parked there. I know Pivot uses license plate readers and stuff like that, so we wanted to make sure there wasn't any issues with any kind of delivery vehicle or vehicles present in that lot at that time. All right, next item, we have police and tenant intentional collaboration. And basically this is routine and deliberate engagements between tenants and law enforcement. I reached out to the chief earlier this week, kind of gave him an idea of what we presented to you. He mentioned that a lot of these elements that he's already working on, which is great. But basically it's just given the uniqueness of a concentrated area of public property occupied by the private businesses, we recommend schedule the dialogue between the police and business owners through the pier to foster ongoing relations with those tenants and pier businesses. So, and that just covers safety measures, business staff movements, hours, deposit runs, key contacts, and watch coins. We're not asking for any additional services, just basically asking if we have a dedicated person to touch base with these types of businesses and kind of get an idea of when presence might be needed the most, and we'll probably schedule around that. So I'm sure the chief can speak more to that if you have questions around that. And the next item will be a pier swing installation. We've been working on this for a very long time as well. Did a lot of research and stuff, talked a lot with John Adair and other regulatory departments in the state. So we would like to create a unique pier feature not found on other local piers and mostly down the Grand Strand as well. So our recommendation tonight will be install 2 pier swings using similar composite material matching the pier decking. Installation can be accomplished with no permanent damage to the concrete structure, and attached via quick release for easy removal. So I know we do beach wrecking and stuff like that. We want to make sure that we install those in a way that still has the beach services and stuff down there access and where they can complete their jobs as well. Estimated cost of those is about $2,500 for 2 swings, plus utilizing the town to install that. And then there's no regulatory issues with us mounting under the pier as long as we're not intruding on the footprint of the existing pier. So appreciate John Adair. We discussed this in a meeting a while back, and he had some innovative ways to secure and install those on the pier so we don't damage the pier structure or anything. So I'm sure he can talk about that as well. And of course, we wanted those to be movable so we still have access with the pier or anything that we need to do underneath there. There's also the research paper located on our peer committee page on the town website related to the benefits of pier swings and swinging with autism. So it kind of captures that as well. I would say if y'all have a chance to get on that site and look at that, it's really neat research paper. And then we have reviewed that with John there. Next item is beachfront pier family volleyball. We had a existing volleyball court a few years back. So all we're doing is recommending just reinstall a volleyball court in the same location as the previous piers court. Of course, we want to restore that. We've had it before. A lot of residents we've talked to say that they enjoyed it. It was used. So it just creates that family culture down at the pier. So town to sink 2 poles into the beach and purchase removable promotional net. Estimated cost at less than $1,000 plus the town's labor to install those. And then, of course, the user can supply their volleyballs, or possibly if we have one or two, possibly up in the area, we could probably utilize them. They're relatively cheap, so. Dang. Got it. All right, and the next item we'll talk about is begin kiosk vendor solicitation. The pier appeal would increase with the vendor options. So our recommendation is town council to vote to begin a vendor solicitation and space rental. Kiosks are to be located on the north side of the 16-foot pier width and closest to the pier buildings due to electric availability, and 20 amps max, and no benches are present there. When Adair was determining benches and stuff on the pier, he kind of left that north side open because he was aware of a possibility of kiosks being approved in a future date. So that space was left open for that idea. Kiosks must be wheeled, a size limit of 3x5 and an operating area limit of 5x5. And the daily nightly removal is a regulatory interpretation. So there's a lot more inspection and things we'd like to do, but at the moment we'd like to move forward with just removing those nightly. We drafted a rental agreement and with administration review at a $500 a month, a rental fee with a 1% of sales, and plus also having a business license, which is required by the town. Sample decals or details is kiosk operation must not impede public enjoyment of pier, minimum operating hours at 40 hours a week, and appropriate liability insurance. So when we first sent out our RFPs for lease spaces, we received quite a bit of interest in kiosks, and that's kind of where that conversation started. We had several businesses that just applied for a kiosk space, and we've actually had a lot of folks reaching out just in general asking, because we did used to have snow cones and stuff at the bottom on the ground level of the pier in previous times. So we do have a lot of interest in this. And then, of course, being that our pier is newer, it's more limited to the regulation. Some of the other piers have grandfathered items in and stuff, so that's kind of why we're leaning towards moving forward this way. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Alex. We decided a 50-50.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good to see you all. All right, so this issue is off-hour fishing, so there's not complete synchronization between Perry's hours and the pier hours. It was brought to council a couple of weeks ago, a couple of different motions, which ultimately wound its way to us, so we gave it a look, and we've got the thought here of how to accomplish it. So previously, on the decision paper you were handed, you had two options, options A and B. You'll see there's 3 columns on the screen labeled A, B, and C. A was free fishing after Perry's closes. So Perry's closes now at 10, piers open to 1, you come at 10:01, free fishing. Right? To heck with the guy who came at 9:45 and paid. Option B, prohibit fishing after Perry's closes. Perry's closes at 10, piers open to 1, walkers only. No fishing. There's a little twist to that. If somebody already bought a pass, could they be there? How that's going to be enforced? We don't have the staff to enforce it. Director Dare's team is busy, making sure the pier is in good shape. So the pros to option A, which was free fishing afterwards, is fishing is allowed when the pier's open, period. Built the pier, it's there. If the gate's open, go fishing. Certain times of the day, you have to pay a fee. The cons are it's unfair to people who paid to fish. It also incents people to fish after Perry's closes. So it's me, it's 9 o'clock, I want to go fishing. If I just wait till 10, I'll get in for free, right? It happens, you shared the experience of your father, would totally get, right? Makes sense. But it's a negative when you think about the pier and the overall economic impact of the pier. Option B, totally cancel fishing after Perry's closes. And keep in mind that Perry's hours will change seasonally along with us. And there's gonna be instances where Perry's opens late due to a sickness, stuff happens. What do we do then? So option B is applicable to a whole lot of scenarios, just not from 10 PM to 1 AM. Option B is, pro is fair to people who paid. If you're gonna fish, you pay a fee, period. And there's nobody who can skirt around that. Disadvantage is not friendly for someone who didn't do the research online and figure out all the nuances of this hour versus this hour. And it's a shift away from, it's called a fishing pier. And if we don't allow fishing, even if it's just certain times, right, it just seems a little odd. So our option is a little bit of a hybrid approach. Option C is what we recommend. And it's simply this, and there's a sample sign, steal the language if you like, is if the pier is open, fishing is allowed. In order to fish, you need to have a fishing pass. However, if you're here when Perry's is closed, go ahead and fish, enjoy the pier. We operate on the honor system. Please come back when Perry's opens again. The benefit is, right, so you're hoping for, the goodness of mankind here a little bit. We estimate there'll be a 30% fall off. But that also means that we capture 70%, right? Whatever the ratio is, I'm not sure, but perhaps if you give people the benefit of the doubt, and we could audit this in 6 months and see how it's going, perhaps you capture some incremental revenue. John shared, I think anecdotally, Director Vidaire shared anecdotally, there's probably a handful of people that are coming in after hours. But if you add that handful with a couple of people that may get savvy to whatever the rules are and say, well, I'll wait till 10, or I'm not gonna go at 9 because I'm kicked out at 10 anyway, so I'll go to Garden City. If you factor in kind of those on the bubble, it's easy to see 5 people a day will be impacted by this. Do that over 200 days. That's the summer plus the shoulder season. That's $12,000 a year at our fishing rates, right? So 12,000, not a huge number, but it becomes material when you start thinking of 248 days from now, all of you have to make a decision of whether or not you're going to extend free admissions onto the pier. Right now, you approve the budget, you know what the pier financials look like. They don't look great, a lot of red numbers. It gets really hard to say no admissions when you don't have something to augment it. In 2015, the last full year that admissions were charged, it's $59,000 came in. That 12,000 that would come in from adopting option C goes a long way towards recapturing some of that. Some of the other ideas, the kiosk can help offset it as well. But long and short of it is, we think option C, saying the pier's open, fish. When Perry's is open, you need to have a fishing license. When Perry's is not open and you don't have a fishing license, we're not going to send you home. Go ahead and fish. Please come back to Perry's the next opportunity that they're open. Perhaps someone would come back the next day and fish that day too. Perhaps they buy something at Perry's. We drive repeat business. So despite some leakage of maybe 30% of the folks, there is some upside here, and it's family friendly. So that's the recommendation on off-hour fishing. Pier plaque program. So before the meeting started, I handed out a few of the samples that John Adair worked with the local business on for the pier plaque program. We obtained an order form just a few weeks ago. We saw the samples a few weeks ago. A lot of work, I want to acknowledge, was done by Director Adair to take this thing from concept to ready to launch. And due to the timing of our awareness of how this was being rolled out, it really stinks. I'm sorry, John. Let's us say, time out, we got some ideas. We don't mean disrespect. We don't mean to slow things down, but we do have some thoughts. We're going to share them with you. You vote how you choose to vote. So what we've done, some of this very recently, some of it we've done historically. I think we first brought up the idea of pier plaques in late 2022 to town council. But recently, we reached out to 3 nationwide custom signs to get the feedback on materials, just to get an understanding, their experience in the marine environment. We talked to the folks over at Marsh Walk, what they do right, what they don't do well, any learnings that they've got around how they process payments, the materials that they use, et cetera, et cetera. We looked at other similar attractions like, I mentioned Marsh Walk, there's Avalon Pier, there's the NC Aquariums, offer similar type of approaches where there's plaques. And the long and the short of it, the graphic on the bottom is we're trying to make it easy for people to order, easy for the town to administer, not just start it, but keep it going, just build this thing to last with a quality product. So we've got 4 separate recommendations specific to Pure Plaques. I'll start on the upper left. One is the ordering detail and disclosures. So excuse me just for a second, I'm going to hand you all. You could pass that to your left. That's the draft order form as it exists today. And again, this is no disrespect, but if you're going to shell out $250 for a plaque, and for those of you in the audience curious what the current versions look like, right, there's some outline shapes and there's some square with text on it shapes.
Is it right if we pass these around?
John, are you okay to pass around? So while you're looking through that order form, for me, I was gonna shell out $250 for a piece of plastic. I probably have some questions, some of them being, how many lines of text can I put on each, or how many characters of text can I put on each line? When will this be installed? What's the material made out of? Right, there's just some basic things that I think if we make some adjustments, regardless of how someone orders it, paper or one of our other suggestions, putting as much information up front will actually create more people purchasing these. Right now, there's just a little bit of a void of information. It says no personal statements. So me saying, go Philadelphia Eagles, is that a personal statement? Can I do that or not? There's also no commercial line, so Borgata can't say something like, come to the other end of Surfside Drive, check us out. Why wouldn't we want that? That's just a question. So in the appendix in this presentation, there's a litany of about 20 things we think we can add to an order form to help the sales process so that we reduce calls to town hall and reduce the burden on staff. So that's recommendation number 1. Change, add, enhance the ordering details. Recommendation number 2 on the upper right, it's called efficient operations, right? So right there, John, I think you're a saint. He put his name and phone number on the order form. So, from a business perspective, I'm not shouting out anyone's compensation, but you take someone making $100,000 a year or $50,000 a year. $100,000 a year divided by 52 weeks divided by 40 hours divided by 60 minutes times 10 minutes per phone call. That's an $8 phone call. And if you burden it with the benefits and the retirement plan and health insurance, it's over $10 for that phone call. Take someone else making $50,000, it's a $5 phone call. This was your business, and you have a phone call coming in. It's going to cost you $5 to handle that phone call or $10. Which one are you going to choose? Probably $5, right? Just that's why when I'm on Amazon and I'm on the chat trying to get an answer to where my delivery is. Sorry, I've been talking all day. My voice is going out of me. I don't expect Jeff Bezos to pick up the chat line, right? Right, the delineation of work, that's what we'd suggest here. Actually, we'd suggest make a mailbox, and when somebody has downtime, answer the questions that someone might have. So is it royal blue or periwinkle blue, right? Yes, we could respond to that via email.
Sorry, spider jump.
Spider attack.
I think he's gone.
I wasn't going to deploy them until you go no on something. Also on there, it's got, when these are mounted, we'll mail you a confirmation, right? So even the DMV and the post office is starting to do some stuff electronically. We could surely beat those two organizations. Instead of someone typing a letter, printing it, folding it, putting the envelope, addressing the envelope, licking the envelope, stamping it, and mailing it out, we're already collecting their email address. Shoot them an email, say, hey, your plaque is up. Boop, send. Right? Just efficient operations. There's a lot of conjecture around how much work staff is doing in town hall and they're busy. We shouldn't add to it when it's pretty simple to make it a little bit clearer. So the third part of efficient operations is online ordering. Talk to a couple of the plaque vendors. Some of them are open to allowing like a segregated version of their website just for Surfside Beach. Marsh Walk said they tried that, but then they, for a much more economical cost, literally you can, within an hour, pay $300 and you'll have a credit card processing store online. Connected to your website, we could add in the memorial plaques that are down the street here in Surfside, add them into this, reduce a little bit more burden on the staff. We might even be so bold as to throw a couple t-shirts on there, who knows, right? So we suggest going that route of ordering, having one person once a week look at the order boxes. Credit card processes is automated. I know this is a brand new thing for the town. It might be a little scary, like, I'm not being smart, like getting payments electronically in versus checks, but other municipalities do it all the time.
It's not new.
It's not, yeah. So that's efficient operations. The third recommendation regarding pier plaques is the plaque design itself. One, like the fish, we think we could change it to a fish that's applicable to the pier. It looks like it's a tuna fish, right? So just, there's a change there. I think Director Adair said, yeah, that should be no problem. The shapes with extensions on them, particularly like the fish or the turtle, right? So if I were to rewind 20 years of my life and my kids were young, my son would walk up to this thing and pick on this toad rope. And I'd be screaming at him, stop, and there'd be a whole big ordeal. Next thing you know, the town would have half the fish hanging on the pier. So something like, if we're gonna go with plastic, maybe make it less capable of being broken, something a little bit more squared off. I do like the outline shapes, but if it's going to be what looks to be 2 to 3 mil plastic, and it's going to be likely glued to the pier, we see that like it being an ongoing recurrence of, what do we do if someone orders it and a month later it's broken? And as things exist right now on the order form, there's no disclaimers, like not responsible to damage. So there's also some small Surfside Beach logos that, from a 5-foot view, it just looks like a spot. So maybe just remove them. The plastic, or as we understand it, is UV coated. I'd recommend a warranty if we go with plastic, which we're not recommending, but if you decide to go that way, try to see if there's a warranty. That might be telling if the manufacturer of these won't warranty a product that they say is good for a marine environment. I envision, and for those of you who have had a boat or been around boats, stuff that's plastic after a couple of years in a marine environment, it's that white haze, chalky starts to crack. I'm not a materials person, but like UV coating, I don't know its durability. But we did ask a few things, and that leads to recommendation number 4, the plaque material itself. Ultimately, we're recommending an RFP for bronze or corian. That's a late addition because we just found that material offering after your packets went out, so sorry for the disconnect. Move forward a little bit. So here's a few examples. It's in your appendix. At the top, NC Aquariums uses plastic exclusively indoors. For outdoors, the second picture to the right there, they use corian, which is the same stuff, which I like solid surface countertops, good with water, great with salt. Avalon Pier uses plastic similar to the samples that you've got. I couldn't find or get any details around its durability. What is interesting though is in the Avalon Pier area, there's a new sport. It's called fish finding. And that refers to the Avalon Pier was largely destroyed in a recent hurricane. And these fish come randomly floating up and people post pictures on Facebook. Marsh Walk, they're bronze. They go for 600 to 1,000 depending upon whether they're 6 inches wide, 8 inches wide, or 10 inches wide, something like that. What they shared is they've got a neat contingent of people who make some type of annual pilgrimage through the Marsh Walk to clean their bronze plaque and put a protective coating on it. Other folks, they say they like the patina as it ages. Just worth noting, when there was a plaque on the pier, the one that got removed, it wasn't plastic. Why wasn't it plastic? That plastic's the better material. So like, being a little bit smart there, but when we put something on the pier, it's bronze. When we ask people, to cough up a few $100 for a plaque, is plastic the best alternative? I think we little bit more research can be done there. So, I'll wrap up the plaques with, on the bottom of the plaque material, section, there's a little matrix there. A, B, and C are the three different vendors we called. A, only dealt in plastic. When I asked about how plastic does, they said, great, it'd be perfect for a marine environment. We warranty it, no. So I don't know if that's good or bad, right? They could be spot on, but my spider sense says something there. Option B, they dealt in plastic and bronze. They said, absolutely not, no plastic. No matter what we put on it in a few years, it's just gonna start looking faded and getting the cracked look to it. They said bronze is the way to go. They sold both. Bronze is a lot more expensive, so right, they're trying to sell too. Right? It's hard to figure out what's fact versus fiction. The third vendor had plastic, bronze, and titanium. They said absolutely not for plastic. Bronze or titanium is the way to go. Titanium's best. By far the most expensive. Obviously, I said it's the best. I had visions of midnight burglars coming in and stealing titanium off the pier, taking it to the recycling center. But bronze, of those three, limited sample, seeming to rise to the top, it does have an opinion, a little bit more of an elegant look to it, right? It's a substantial pier. It's going to be there a long time. Marsh Walk has no problem selling them in bronze. They are pricey. We just ask for maybe looking at bronze or Corian rather than plastic. I can't say in 5 years what they're going to look like versus anything else. I just have concerns. I'd hate in 5 years, whoever's sitting in your chairs, to have 500 people purchasing plaques of $250 each, saying to council, you sold me garbage, replace my plaques. Like, that's a tough spot to be in, particularly when half of them are to say in loving memory. Like, the hell with grandma, right? It's all hard to say.
Oh.
Grandpa. Anyway, call it Scruffy. the dog. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next topic. Town store, and we're now trying to gain favor by retitling it Visitor Center. So we've got that corner space, we've talked about it. 600 days ago, we made a request for a roll-up door. Let's not, right, half the council's new, half the peer committee's new, that's 2 administrators back. So get us a cost before you order the glass of what a sales window could look like. 600 days later, here we are, and I think the administrator is, we had a meeting, great meeting, a couple weeks ago, and took that as a takeaway, and looking forward to getting that. I think regardless of the answer of that, if town council wants to explore this idea, it's time to get out of the theoretical and start being purposeful with creating a town store / visitor center. We have also a new wrinkle in that there is an occupancy load consideration that was brought to our attention. Given the limited space in there, really can't have more than 2 people in there at a time, which tends to stifle sales when you can't have people to sell to. But that brings us back to roll-up window with an air door to prevent some air conditioning leakage, or it was, I think Director Adair mentioned, maybe there's a potential for a very large, think of like a drive-through window, but like supersized, where there's just a big area and a counter to transact business. There's still options out there for this. So here's why it's important. Got the 24-25 budget, which you approved, and for this coming year, at least on paper, the accounting net of the pier is negative $540,000. Put that in perspective, the last full town fiscal year, for the previous pier, it was up $340-some thousand. So it's called an $800,000 swing. Old pier versus new pier. Last year, the gap that existed was covered largely with H-tax. There was, I think it was 350,000 and change, same number again, 350,000 and change H-tax, about 100,000 A-tax. And there was some fund transfers back and forth. I don't think the 24-25 detailed budget is online yet. My guess is that, again, H-tax will be a large component of filling that deficit. Is that fair to say, Director Vincent? So this is interesting. For the first time, a resident can make some logical conclusions. If that pier was not there, if that 540,000 negative impact wasn't there, almost 400,000 of H-tax wouldn't go to the pier, right? Just erase the pier. Right now, we got 400,000 each year going to be pushed into it from H or A tax. If the pier wasn't there, that money, H-tax can be used for public safety, could be used for public safety. We had a shortage this year. So it's not a weird leap, and it's quite logical for someone to stand up here and say, because of the pier, my taxes, property taxes were increased. And for the first time, property taxes are going to be used for the pier. Because if the pier wasn't there, you wouldn't have had to raise my property taxes. There's no flaws in that logic. None.
You jumped to some radical.
Well, that might be radical, but if you had an extra $400,000 this year, would you have raised taxes to gain 400,000? Just a statement. I'm not saying it's the hypothetical person that's talking.
It's rhetorical for now.
Rhetorical.
Continue.
So even if that statement is controversial or you don't agree with it, there's some components there that are like, 400,000 of H-tax to go into the pier. It could be used for something else. There was talk, maybe next year we might have to raise taxes, 2 more mills to cover some other stuff. This is not a critique of raising taxes. It's just, it is what it is. But if that money doesn't go to the pier, it becomes available for some other things that fall within allowable purposes. So you've got options. You could just let that go on, or you can try, like Mad, to try to make up some of the shortage. Got kiosks, doing an honor system when Perry's isn't there to collect. Talked about a few ideas here, and there's also the town store. Mount Pleasant, their core products, we've got their detailed financials, sold at $250,000 of revenue. If I push as many expenses, we pay top dollar and man this thing and pay benefits to people to man it and pay higher than market cost of goods sold, we're going to net $30,000. We do have the option to have interns. I mentioned it last time I was up here. Volunteers might be interested in manning the store a little bit. But worst case scenario, Mount Pleasant, which is a low volume, it's like half a pier. If we do that volume, we get $30,000 that'll offset some of that loss. Folly Beach, which does a great deal of business, and some of their numbers were when the pier was still under construction. Their store was still open. They did 800,000 of core merchandise, t-shirts, sweatshirts, towels. If I fully make it very expensive to operate the store, we operate the store like a government. It'll be 440,000 of expenses, right? So that still gives you 360, right? So I'm trying to paint a negative picture here, but if we could sling some merchandise out of the store, and when we polled residents through a survey, residents said, we want high quality merchandise, like Peter branded stuff. We've got space in there. We know Director Adair needs space for people to just sit and eat the sandwich. He expressed something I didn't know, that some of the pier mechanicals and other operating guide and stuff, guides and things like that are stored in that space. But if we have ability to open up that window, put a rack outside, if someone's sitting inside with an iPad, we might have got to leverage that same Plaque and Pier point of sale operating system. Come in there, people want to buy a t-shirt. I bought a Perry's $30 shirt. Glad to do it. It's a $30 t-shirt. Support a local business. I wish there was a Surfside Beach t-shirt store just for me. I think it's a good idea. The Pier Committee thinks it's a good idea. And it could help with that big red number there. That number is not going to go away. It's gonna change a little bit. We've got some additional leases coming in, but stuff also gets more expensive on the expense line. Insurances go up, manpower goes up, right? There's gonna be wear and tear, stuff degrades. So even as other leases come online, it's still gonna be really hard to make this pier a profitable venture. And it doesn't need to be profitable, but it also doesn't need to be taking a big chunk out of H-tax, which could be used to fund some pressing areas that the town has. So the recommendation is for town council to tell the town and us to move forward with speed and gusto, and this is going to happen. Unless something crazy goes sideways that we learned, make this a reality. There's still some unknowns we gotta figure out, but it's possible. Other piers do it. Other non-private piers do it. And I think you don't have to imagine we have the numbers of what other locations do, and it would have a material impact on the pier's economics. We have a slide around items to vote on, 11 of them in total. 2 of them are just kind of policy and process related. 2 of them are costs. That is the pier swing and the volleyball net, $3,500. The remaining items, 7 items, I think reasonable, not trying to go over the top, reasonable, $80,000 a year, first year implementation, between the kiosks, getting them off the ground, the off-hour fishing policy, doing some research around the plaques, and then landing on a material that all parties agree on, or at least got a little bit more data behind the materials. And heck, we might come back with the exact same plastic, but I think it's worthy to put out an RFP and see what bronze and corium cost us, and create online ordering for that plaque, change the plaque design just to make it less susceptible to breakage. I already mentioned the plaque material, and begin planning for a visitor center. So I'll stop, Dusty, you can come back up, and you've got a gazillion slides any of you can ask questions on. Happy to try to answer the best we can.
All right, again, for the interest of time, I think we should deal with motions, because we can ask a ton of questions here and then still ask the same things if we go through motions. So I would prefer that we take these one at a time and just go through, make a motion, and ask the questions, make your comments, et cetera, at that point. I think it's going to be the best way to get this going.
Okay, let's start out. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Waltz.
I would like to make a motion that we direct Public Works to create a delivery area for the pier committee's recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was nice.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to create a delivery area. Comments, debate?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Beckwell.
I'd like to say I agree with that, but I also think it needs a time limit. If we don't put a time limit on it, you're gonna have somebody, an electrical person that comes to work on an electrical problem that'll be out there for 4 or 5 hours, and a truck comes along with deliveries, he doesn't have anywhere to park. So I just think it needs a time limit of some sort. And I also think that it needs to be gone through John or someone to go out and figure out if there's gonna be room for another truck to go around a truck while there's people parked on the other side of the suggested parking area. But that's what I have to say on that one.
Mr. Mayor.
I think let's have John address that right now, I think.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. We addressed this in our meeting a couple of weeks ago. I am in favor of having a passive zone. When you have large, when Surf Diner opens up, you're gonna have US food tractor trailers coming through. They're not gonna be able to hug that curb. They're gonna be on the outside of that turn. We moved that landscape island back. We lost a couple of parking spaces after we designed the parking lot, just because I knew that the deliveries would need a place to stop, so cars can get around them. So whether it's on the inside or the outside, if we mark it, there's gonna be one type of truck that's not gonna work for. So I'd be in favor of, letting the businesses know, this is where your people can offload, in this turning areas, those are not blocking traffic, but I'm not in favor of putting markings down, because it's just not gonna be respected.
Mr. Mayor.
Are you done? Okay. Miss Shawn?
My thing about if you don't have something marked, people are not, they're just gonna park where they wanna park. I think you have to at least have something established. This is your area. Most trucks that are gonna come in are not gonna be the huge US trucks, US foods trucks. I think put a marking there, it establishes an area for them to come in, park, and I don't think it's gonna be long, because they got money to make. They're gonna drop off their bait for fishing. They got 10 other stores to hit because they're making money. So I really do think that you should have a mark, somewhere marked. Now what, and for the big trucks, I mean, they're just gonna take over that whole area, no matter what. And my fear is if you don't have that marking there for the smaller trucks, then they're just gonna park anywhere too. There's no limit there. So I think we should establish an area for the average truck coming in to deliver, because if not, they're just gonna park anywhere, just like the big truck.
Mayor,
Mrs. Stanley?
back on what Sean said, why couldn't we just put that market as a loading zone on the pavement across there? Loading or an unloading zone.
Where are we talking now?
Where the blue spot is now, just have that marked as a loading and
We
unloading.
certainly can do
Instead
it.
of,
Yeah.
instead of drawing out a space and blocking it off like they have it showed, just write out loading zone for trucks to be able to park there.
Just words?
Just words.
Well, that's what they do anyway. I don't know that.
Well, I mean, that saves somebody else. They'll know that that place is theirs.
Yeah, the reason why this is in the presentation, from what I gather from the committee, is that some of the tenants said it would be nice to have X, but the parking lot has limitations. You know, we may not be able to give them X, what they want. You know, there's different size trucks. You have the Plantation Resort buses coming through there. You have ice deliveries, milk deliveries, this and that. You'll have larger trucks as the restaurants open. One size does not fit all. The pier historically has always gotten the deliveries on that turn. Typically, they go wide, not close to the turn. They go wide. So I would say the majority.
But if they go wide, would it not block the handicap parking?
Oh, yeah, it's gonna block them. Either way, it's gonna block them.
So if you've got an unloading zone where this loading zone's at here, it's gonna block the parking, I mean, the handicap parking too?
Yeah, you won't be able to back a large vehicle out of there for the limited time that they're there. That's what I'm saying, you know, what the tenants would like to have versus what we can offer them may not, you know, having unmarked, just letting them all know that you tell your delivery company that this is where they can drop off, as long as traffic can get by you. That would be my ideal situation, but I'll go whatever council decides to go with, it we'll do, of course.
To me, it just seems like it'd be a better idea to have some kind of marking there to let them know that that's the parking zone, and it lets Pivot know that if somebody is parked there, that it's probably a loading or unloading truck.
Yeah, Pivot's not ticketing delivery truck. They're not.
Mr.
Well, I
Mayor,
didn't think so.
before we leave, you want to offer something here? Let's let Chief Nelson elaborate.
I have some concerns with this. A straight truck or a tractor trailer is gonna block that off. I won't be able to get a fire truck in there. That's just not, the only thing that's gonna be able to be parked there is a van, a pickup truck or something like that. Where you have the one handicap spot there along that side, that would be a better spot that maybe you can make it an alternative where they could back in and we could still swing around there. But right on that corner, if I'm getting the aerial down there, it's gonna take me forever to get in or out, and I'm most likely, we're gonna have to have the driver come out and move it, and it's gonna delay a lot of process that we're doing, and I just don't feel that's a good spot to be putting any type of loading or anything there.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
so if you go down the pier right now, there are people, who are waiting for people. You know, if people going to the beach, people going up to the ice cream store, So that people are utilizing that space now. US Foods comes in the tractor trailer, they don't use that space. They usually park, on Seaside Drive. And they've always done that. I don't know why they would change that. And if you spoke to US Foods and told them, park on Seaside Drive, that space is not big enough for you. But I do think it should be marked some way and also signed. No standing except trucks loading and unloading. And it's only for loading and unloading. You're not have an electrician going there and it's gonna park there all day long. He gets a ticket if he sits there too long. It's loading and unloading. If you're not loading and unloading, you don't park there. And this will prevent pedestrian, tourists or whatever, passenger vehicles from parking there or waiting there. There should be no standing there except trucks loading and unloading. And it's done all over the world like that. I understand the chief's nervous about the turning radius and all. I get it. But if it's just a regular truck, a 2-axle truck, it's gonna fit in there. I mean, you got 2 cars back to, front to back. And that's why, but a tractor trailer can't fit there, I agree. Tractor trailer shouldn't go there. It shouldn't go anywhere in that area, because it's gonna screw up everything. So I think it still should be marked some way, so that it tells people, listen, you're not a truck, you don't belong there. Go away. But what is happening right now, people are using it. They're using it as a wait for my family. I don't wanna park, I don't wanna pay to park. Well, I do wanna pay to park, there's no spots available. So I'm gonna sit here until the spot's available. It's not what it should be used for. And it will help a lot with people coming in, restaurant supplies and stuff like that.
Any other comments? Okay, so right now, we have a motion, let me go back to that page, to direct Public Works to create a delivery area without any designation, whether it's passive or non-passive. Does anybody want to amend the motion or just leave it here that we set a delivery area and come back with the details? We can have Director Adair bring a proposal for exactly how that would work afterwards if we just direct a delivery area.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shawn?
I think we need to start moving forward. We've done enough going back and forth. I truly believe that we have enough information to make a solid decision here. And if things don't go the way we think they're gonna go, changes are there, but we gotta start moving forward and providing services for the businesses, for the safety of, our visitors and our residents. So I think we need to start making motions to move things forward, not passing it back and forth.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I'll make an amended motion to, what Mr. Wall said, but have an active zone painted and signed over here.
Say that again?
To have an active zone marked.
I agree with that. I'll second that.
All right, yeah, so you got that second? Okay. All right, any other discussion on that? I have a question, I guess, for Director Adair. You said that tractor trailers have come in that area in the past?
Yes, correct. Surfliner typically gets their deliveries right there in that turn. The River City Cafe's US Food deliveries typically go on Seaside Drive. They normally won't wheel that stuff all the way over. When the parking lot's open, it hasn't been open for a long time.
That is your expectation that they will continue, or
I would expect that.
restart doing that?
I would expect that.
Okay.
Yeah, they have pallet jacks and whatnot. They're not gonna go 200 feet.
Right, I was kind of trying to
On the
picture
side
that
street
in
with
my
that,
mind. Yeah, I've seen them from River City.
Yeah.
And so far as Chief Nelson's concern goes, I mean, if there's a pickup truck in there, anything, you're not gonna get the aerial through there no matter what. We're gonna have to get somebody to move out, I think. And if it's a tractor trailer, even more so. But I don't think I mean, that's gonna be whether it's marked or unmarked, any vehicle in that area is gonna be in the way if we have a fire emergency, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of people just even stop there just to look at the pier, you know, they don't even get out of their car. But,
Well, at least those, and I understand Mr. Coleman's, point, but at least, you know, Pivot or any, law enforcement or the fire can say, move along. So, you know, I guess I don't see that as a major issue there, if they're sitting in a car, and if they're not, it's a ticket.
yeah, we can create something.
Okay.
If, well, Mr. Mayor, you say, be quick to say they get a ticket, but the pivot has to be there at that time.
Correct.
So my thing is, if you have a painted area there, people know they cannot, it's not a waiting zone, it's an unloading zone. And as far as US Foods, I've seen them park their vehicle where they have to haul it unlikely distance. And Seaboard Street, they can park there and those guys deliver. They don't have to be on top of the business where they're delivering. I've seen it up and down on Business 17. There's a lot of places here that they can't go right up to the door and deliver. So I would highly recommend and go with the first recommendation about painting a loading and unloading area. And we could always go back to see if it doesn't work.
Well, the current motion is for a marked, active loading zone. So that is what we have now. Are there any other questions, comments? In that case, Ms. Medina?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckler,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. We will have Public Works look to create a marked loading zone in that area. All right. Before we move on, did Mr. Sharp ever? Should we stop this? I mean, I don't know. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we're gonna continue that. All right, very good. We'll move on to item number 2, request police tenant collaboration routine. Personally, I don't think we need a motion for this. I believe that in the community policing, Interim Chief Davis has already been looking at this. You folks have spoken to him. Does anybody think we need a motion for this?
I just have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Coleman.
What is this?
That is a strawberry heart-shaped donut.
Donut, oh, okay. Mr. Mayor.
No, there's a.
Mr. Samsky, it's Nazi donuts. Mr. Mayor. See the humor in that? Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stamey.
I'd like to see this, townwide. It's just not the pier. I'd like to see the police do this townwide, even if the business is up here. Drop in and have a little chat with them. Just not the pier. Just do it townwide, do it all the businesses. That's what I'd like to see happen.
And Interim Chief Davis, any comment?
So I like Mr. Stamey's idea. I think it's something we'll do everywhere, but it's something that we are, right now, we're concentrating on as well with our district officers that we have working for the summer, but this is something that we want to do citywide.
Okay,
So
absolutely.
as we grow a little bit and we put some more boots on the ground, you'll see some more of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea too. I just don't think we need to make a motion for this. So, okay.
Standard operating.
There you go. All right, so now item number 3, install 2 under pier swings. Do we have a motion for that?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
I'd like to make a motion that we pursue installing 2 swings underneath the pier.
I'll say it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
First question is, what's the weight limit? How do we keep?
What would you like the weight limit to be?
Well, I mean, you've looked into it. Do they say what the weight limit is? Because you're pushing pressure against 2 sides.
Yeah, I would think it would be determined by whatever John decides to build out as far as the mechanism to have those swings. We didn't really determine that for him. He did look into a few things and had a few ideas of how that was possible. But I think that would be a future question, but I think it is possible to secure a pretty heavy weight.
Could be a question right now. It's
Could be.
behind you.
I'll just offer that, I think it's definitely doable. I think the weight limit would not be a problem for us, even if it was a larger swing, because we wouldn't damage the pilings in the process. I'd use some sort of a strapping system rather than a penetration. We don't want to get anywhere near the rebar inside those
I was
pilings.
gonna say, I don't wanna hang on that curb.
Yeah, you don't want moisture getting into the rebar and the piling. So it would be something that would be wrapped around on sort of a strap situation, and we'll figure it out. The only change I would make from the illustration was I wouldn't put it in the first row facing the ocean, because that's where people tend to camp out now. I've been watching for the last week, and the first 2 bays is loaded with people and chairs and stuff, taking advantage of the shade. I would push it a little further back. That was my suggestion on that, but it's certainly doable.
And it is removable.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
And just to clarify, there is nothing in the recommendation about the location.
Nope.
So it's still open, okay. Was that Mr. Stamey?
Yes. My question is, are we gonna have to remove these swings on an every night basis, just sort of like the kiosks? What's the difference of them hanging out down there and swinging back and forth in the ocean breeze at night or during the day? What's gonna be the difference?
Well, the kiosk is considered storage under FEMA rules. You can't store them there. This is a swing that's an amenity that's attached to the pier. It can be removed for beach maintenance as needed, similar to if we put a shower head on one of those pilings. We could do that if we wanted to. It's not considered storage.
So it's different for the swing.
Yeah, for the flood zone. Yeah, that wouldn't affect us in the flood zone.
Okay.
Any other comment, question, discussion? All right, so we have a motion to install 2 under pier swings. The exact locations to be determined. Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kinkin?
Yes.
Ms. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Stamey?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Krecklow?
Yes.
Mayor Kraus?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. All right, we now are pursuing 2 swings. Okay, item number 4, install 1 volleyball net. Do we have a motion to accept that recommendation?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
make a motion to approve the installation of 1 volleyball net on the beach in front of the Surfside Resort.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
has anybody talked to the hotel to see if they're okay with it? Here comes John.
Okay.
Sorry.
You gotta sit in front.
I did speak to Mr. Vassar about this, and he said the previous volleyball net we had in that location years ago, he said when the beach was really packed, people just camped out with their, right in the volleyball court, and people couldn't play volleyball. So he really doesn't have any problem with it being reinstalled. He said in most of the year, for 320 days a year, it wouldn't be anybody's way.
Okay.
And he says that if it isn't people's way, people get their chairs and out there early, and if they camp out right in the middle of it, people just can't play volleyball that day. So that was his opinion.
Thank you for reaching out to him.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
Police Department, is this gonna affect you at all in getting onto the beach or getting to somebody, because it's gonna be close to the dunes, I believe.
So I don't know exactly how close, I know you talked a little bit, but.
You'll probably be 10 feet off the toe of the dune.
So we should.
Maintain that 10-foot lane.
So we should be good there. The problem is if we have any crowding, but to be frank with you, I'm gonna be addressing emergency lanes on the beach in the next couple of meetings anyway with the council's grace, so, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shawn?
of course, this is close to my heart, but the luau, because I see that line, and when we do have the luau, they're gonna, just like you said, if people are attending the beach, they're just gonna take it over for the luau, basically. So there won't be any problem, people putting chairs there, and, because we're up to like 400 people now that come to the luau. So my question is it okay, for people to set up their chairs and sit on that, because that's right on the line there where they all sit.
Yeah, so the yellow area, is just me in PowerPoint.
Mhm.
That'll be pulled off the dune, exactly how far out it is. The director might know better than I would, but I would think that if there's an event, use that spot.
Okay.
It's yellow there, but it's really, we're only talking about a net. It's just sand. So that people could come and go in and out of there.
Mr. Mayor, that's what I wanted to clarify. I mean, when they're not playing volleyball, there's only 2 poles sticking up here.
Or, yeah, well,
The net can be
yeah,
removed,
yeah, get
right?
a removable net, but I don't know if it would be taken down all the time, but
Well, I mean, if the hula people needed it,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could
I think so, yeah.
accommodate.
I don't think, respect,
Mr. Stanley.
I don't think the net would hurt the tool show, visibility and all, they
Yeah.
can sit all around it, and just leave the net up.
Okay.
I don't think that's a big deal.
Any other comment or discussion on the volleyball net? Okay, so we have a motion on the table to install a volleyball net near the beach side of the Surfside Beach Oceanfront Hotel. Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kreckloff,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey.
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yeah.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Keegan,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're gonna have a volleyball net. Begin kiosk application number 5, begin kiosk application / selection process. Do you have a motion for that?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Walls?
I would make a motion that we adopt the beer committee's recommendation to begin the kiosk application process so we can get started.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor,
Discussion, Mr. Coleman?
so do you have to remove the kiosks or you don't have to remove the kiosks? And are you sure?
So this is a lot of back and forth conversations with multiple governing bodies, FEMA, et cetera. It's being a popcorn cart, the size of that projector sitting on 4 wheels is deemed a structure. And it needs to be removed nightly. Does anyone come and inspect that? Not really, no, but I think the wording on the lease agreement needs to state it needs to be removed nightly.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I just had an obvious, take it down off the elevated pier and put it down at water level.
Nope, it's gotta even be out of the parking lot.
Oh, is that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
It's
thank you
crazy.
for clarifying.
Crazy, right? So you
I
can't,
never understood that.
yeah, you can't compare, what Garden City's doing, they're grandfathered in, but
Yeah.
all these new rules and like there is a percentage of what's considered a structure and amenity versus the whole pier. I forget the percentages, John, I know. But we're like right at that line now.
He goes to you.
I knew you were gonna be active. I just want to jump in on, it's not considered a structure, it's a storage. So the same situation with storage. The same reason why you can't store them in the parking lot. Once you get past, you're in that coastal A zone, you can't have the storage up there. Structure is not allowed either, but structure has walls. It's something, if you wanted to, OCRM has certain rules on structures, FEMA has other rules on structure, but in any event, you can't build a structure on the pier besides what we have. The issue with leaving the kiosk on the pier overnight is a storage issue.
Mr. Mayor, I have a follow-up.
Yeah, Mr. Coleman still has the floor, actually, yes.
So what I'm worried about, in the last week or so, the elevators seem to have been out of service multiple times. How are we gonna get these storage facilities, or whatever they're deemed, the kiosks, off the pier? Because you might be able to fit it in an elevator, I'm not sure I'll be able to get it down the ramp.
If it's 3x5, like in the sample, it would go down the ramp.
Okay, so the 3x5 that what they're suggesting is gonna be good enough to get up and down the ramp. That's all, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Perry's had a skid of ice, pallet of ice.
Okay.
Go up that ramp with on a
That's all.
pallet jack.
Before we vote on something, I just wanna make sure that it works. Because if it don't work and you have, somebody who likes to rat out people, call up and say, oh, they didn't take their stuff, or, blah, 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 blah. You know, I don't want that. I don't want to get embarrassed if the elevator's out. And, oh, what's going on with the elevator?
Right now, it's waiting for a circuit board, which should be in later on this week.
It's
At the
brand new,
moment.
isn't it?
Pardon?
It's a brand new elevator.
Sure is. We've had 3 breakdowns in the last couple of weeks, all, according to the repair people, all pretty much people jumping up and down, kids fooling around, and that activates an emergency brake, which changes the speed of the elevator, and then they have to come and reset it and put it through its self-test. And it's happened 3 times. Hopefully it'll stop happening once, the 9 weeks of summer are over, with all the vacationers, because it didn't happen from March till end of June, where it was operational every day. So this is one of the things, unfortunately, we deal with. Any place that has teams and elevators, this happens, from what I'm told. So we're doing the best we can. With a circuit board at the moment, to answer your question.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stingy.
Is this a town ordinance that we can't do this, or is this strictly FEMA? Can the town make an ordinance to allow these things to stay on the pier? Or is this strictly from FEMA?
This is FEMA. This is the federal NFIP, which we're required to follow.
I thought y'all, excuse me, I would thought the guys had checked into it and FEMA didn't have a problem with it. In fact, as I can recall, is this also changed since y'all checked into it?
This is meandered, a lot.
But when y'all checked with FEMA or questioned FEMA about it, at that time, they were saying they didn't give a rat's patootie. But it was a town thing that you couldn't do it. And that's what I'm asking you now. Are you sure that FEMA is dead against this?
Yeah, it's in the federal, and that's the flood insurance program. And it was told to me by a FEMA rep from Columbia. So it'll be a similar situation to the, the people who will push the carts down the beach with the frozen lemonade. At the end of the day, they put them on a trailer and they drive them away. It'll be that kind of situation.
Mr. Kicker?
You've got this listed on the nearest part of the pier, and right now there's benches across all down one side. So now you've got a 16-foot wide pier. You're going to put a 5x5 area that's basically for the kiosks, and then you got benches on the across from them. That's going to make a very narrow passage. Have you thought about that?
Yes, sir. I mean, our original recommendation was in the wider part of the pier, but
That's what I thought.
as far as design and everything, I think we got to a point where we needed to move forward to get the pier open, and that was the dedicated space left. But John could probably talk to it a little bit about that.
Yeah, we did space the benches appropriately to allow for a square next to each outlet that does not interfere with any of the benches, and allow appropriate ADA walking path to get by. So there's 5 or 6 opportunities for kiosks in that portion over there. We tried to segregate the uses. So the fishing people have their area, the people who want to sit and catch a breeze and eat an ice cream cone have their area where they're not on top of each other. And these kiosks and their customers will not be in anybody's way either in that front portion because there's not fishing going on.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
And one other question.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me. When y'all did this originally, there was comments from the kiosk people that they didn't want to load and unload a kiosk every day. As you feel like that's still a problem?
Yes, sir. Most of the interest we've had don't want forward moving. We have larger kiosks that have snow cones and stuff. I know you're aware of the one that used to be down at the bottom. They have no interest in moving it out of the lot.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Coleman?
Do we have a limit to how many kiosks we can have? And I was going to set that, if I'll make the motion that we do this, we're only going to have X amount of kiosks.
I believe it's 5, possibly 6 is the areas we've left open for potential kiosks. So we can number those and they could be leased based on the number.
6,
It's either 5 or 6. Can't think of it off the top of my head. But it's just where we've enumerated that they can work. We've left room for them. anticipating this. They're all next to an outlet, so they have power if they need it. And that's what you have available to you. You know, whatever the lease agreement is, whatever the rate is, that can be determined based on the recommendation.
So if I put down no more than 6, if I make an amended motion, no more than 6, we should be good, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be more than that.
All right, I have a couple questions. The 3x5 size, is that just your guys' idea, or does that come from some regulations?
It's just our recommendation based on we're going to utilize the smaller portion of the pier, so we don't want to keep it just at a minimum as possible to be able to still access the pier.
And the people you've spoken to, that they're amenable to that?
We did do some research around just regular vending carts and stuff like that, and most of the smaller vending carts is within that footprint.
Okay. The Garden City Pier width, I remember way back we talked about it. What is the width where their kiosks are?
Yeah, so my scientific flip-flop counting method was deployed. So if you think of where, I think they've got the hair braids and the Italian ice place, and then, so if you're walking out into the ocean, those kiosks are on the left. On the right, they've got those composite high buoy chairs, and it was about 8 feet, which is less than what we'll have at having a kiosk out at 5 feet.
All right, that's all I have. Mr. Stanley?
Have y'all had anybody reach out to you and say they want to do this way with being on wheels and have to remove it every day?
We haven't. We've had a lot of interest in kiosks, and we're hopeful that just the option that we can give them at least something that they could work within those terms. And like everybody's been saying, we could look at this in the future, and if it's working or not working, or if we need to upsize it or something different, we could probably revisit it as well.
Yeah, I can see it happening. I can see it, but I just wonder how much interest it would be in.
Yeah, I think at the first RFPs, as far as I think we had at least 5 kiosk vendors.
I remember when it first started out, it was a big deal.
And then I've had multiple people reach out to me, and I'm sure the town probably has had some interest as well. So I think it's something that could possibly work.
Thank you.
I'll just add that if you were to ask them, they're going to say, no, we don't want to remove it. But if you say remove it or don't have it, I think it changes a little bit. Yeah, all right. Less than ideal, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either, but
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kinkin?
One other question. Anybody check to make sure it goes through the gates?
Yeah, the gates are, that was 50, that's 4 foot, 48 inch.
Clear.
Yeah, so for 3
48
foot
inches
wide.
clear. Okay, that's.
All right, is there any other comment, discussion?
Just like to amend the motion.
Okay.
Same thing, being the cautious kiosk application, but limited to the maximum of 6 kiosks should have this time.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have an amended motion to, let me just state the whole thing here. Got a lot of paper flipping. Okay. To begin the kiosk application and selection process, limited to 6 kiosks on the pier. Any other question, comment?
I'd like to make one more comment.
Director Adair.
Just in the full scope of the thing, I was informed by the fire marshal that installation of kiosks may reduce our occupancy load on the pier itself by a little bit. He didn't give me a number, but it was mentioned to me. So it'll have to be recalculated with that loss of square footage. Just be advised.
And it's at 500?
It's at 500 now, I believe, yes.
Okay. All right, so one more point to consider, I suppose. All right, with that though, we can move to the vote. Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kinkin?
Yes.
Ms. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Stamey?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Kreckler?
Yes.
Mayor Kraft?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. We'll now move to item number 6, establish an off-hour fishing policy. We have a motion for that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
I make a motion that we follow the pier committee recommendation to always allow fishing on the pier, even during non-Perry hours. using the honor system.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So that would be basically option C on this sheet. Always allow fishing when pier is open with non-Perry's hours using the honor system. All right, any discussion or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Craigcloud?
I guess I'll vote for it, but I think you're guessing on how many people are going to honor it is probably should be reversed, in my opinion. It's just different these days than it used to be, but neither here nor there, at least then we letting them fish. So I'm for it.
Any other comments, questions? Well, I'll go, and I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, you are much more optimistic. You have a better view of human nature.
I believe in humanity.
All right, but irrespective of that, if it captures anything, it's great, and it's a goodwill gesture. And I do actually have one question. That ATM and the additional functions you look, that could help address this in the future. Okay, so, and I know that's not really a recommendation, that's something that someone approached Mr. Vincent and, we're basically looking at that already. So that's something to keep in mind as we consider this, I guess. It still would have to be enforced, but, at least a pretty good bag. All right. Anything else? All right, we're moving quickly now. Ms. Medina?
Mr. King.
Oh, I'm sorry, let me just restate the motion. We're going to always allow fishing when the pier is open with non-Perry's hours using the hour system. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Kinkin.
Yes.
Ms. Fallon.
Yes.
Mr. Walls.
Yes.
Mr. Stamey.
No.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Mr. Kreckloff.
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
And I'm a yes, that's a motion carries 6-1. All right. We're now looking at item 7, add plaque ordering details and disclosures. We've got 4 well, you've got them all enumerated. So the first one, yeah, just the ordering details and disclosures. So that's the online system, basically. Is that a reasonable summary to say?
Yeah, so for number 7, that is regardless of it, online or paper, and you have the paper form there, we do need to add disclosures saying, in case it breaks, we're not liable. Here's what it's made out of. Here's when you can expect it to go up. Here's how many characters per text line. There's a litany of items in there, just trying to answer as many questions up front as possible.
And you're right, I confused those two. Apologize for that. So that would be, that's in the appendix, I believe.
Yeah.
It's where you had all that list. So yes, the suggested changes here, a lot of that was in the what would go on the online system. Okay. All right, do we have a motion to, and we don't have to itemize each one of those things, but do we have a motion to,
Mr. Mayor.
hang on, I'm just trying to get to it, to add the plaque ordering details and disclosures? Ms. Fallon?
I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with a detailed form with as much information as possible for clarification. And I would also, in my motion, that no plastic for the plaques.
Okay.
No plastic.
That's number 10 is the improved.
Oh, is that different? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will restate it again. My motion is to update the form with detailed information for clarification. And we also can go online.
Well, that's number 8.
Okay, forget the online. Do it all. So, once again, motion to update the form with detailed information for clarification when our customers are ordering.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Kinkin, a second. All right. Discussion, debate, questions? Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kreplon,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. We will add additional information to however we communicate this. Now we'll move on to number 8, and this is to create an online plaque ordering system. Do I have a motion for that?
Mr. Mayor,
Michelle?
I'd like to make a motion for us to establish an online ordering for the plaques to be placed on Surfside Beach Pier.
And a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to create an online plaque ordering system. Any discussion, debate?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin?
could that be expanded to order T-shirts?
Our thought is T-shirts, the memorial plaques.
Yeah, you mentioned those earlier.
Yeah, and you can literally you could put autographed pictures of yourself on there.
Whoa, you sell a lot of those, wouldn't you?
Once you set up the online store, you could literally sell whatever you'd like.
Okay. So it's say $300, do it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, there's a monthly fee and transaction charge, like stuff like that, but
yeah,
there's a little bit of accounting detail around, right? So there's enterprise fund accounting versus general, right? There's some municipal nuances you've got to be aware of. Certainly, that are not high hurdles, but.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Krecklau?
I'd like to say that an online store is a good idea, but in my opinion, we're going to have to add staff in order to have it work. Somebody has to be responsible for upkeep of it, of placing the orders, whatnot. And I don't know if we have anyone that would do that right now. It's quite a workload. It really would be. So I would say not to do this until we have a person to take care of it, or do it, but with the option, or not the option, but that it gets not implemented until there's a person in place to take care of it.
Can I make a quick comment there?
Absolutely.
So if it's just for the plaques and the memorial plaques, that I think they're marble.
But it will grow.
Right, but if it's just those, is it any counterpoint would be, is there a material difference between processing checks and paper forms versus having it digital? My perspective is, if it's digital, it's easier to shoot off to the fulfillment center to actually print the plaque. So if we go big and start selling everything on the Sun, yeah, then you gotta look at the economics. Does it make sense to have staff?
In order to make it economical, we almost have to, because there is a reoccurring cost with having an online store.
Yeah,
So
we put it in at.
You want to make it grow.
Yeah, well, we put it in at about $30 a month. So if we look online, just through all the various services, there's about a few $100, range from $2 to $5, and then there's a
There's-
$25, $30, $40
There's
a
the
month.
hidden cost though too of the credit card and
Processing
if you accept PayPal, there's the PayPal, whatever. But I digress on that. But
All good points.
Yeah, just more information around that too. A lot of the apparel company that we utilize already have the option to be able to create that store. We can link it to them. They can do all the
But
work. We still have the part,
we still
charges.
have to pay for it.
Mr. Mayor, that's what I was
I
gonna
just
say.
want to make sure, Mr.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
there's,
there you go.
there's always the opportunity that you can get somebody to run it for you, and they just take a little taste and just, yeah, I mean.
Mr. Mayor,
First.
You done this well? Okay.
I'm finished.
All right. Mr. Stain?
Who looks after the memorial wall plaques now?
I think it definitely falls under Director Adair's.
Well, it's not me, actually. The way the Veterans Wall works is that there's a form, which that form that you have is modeled after pretty closely. People come into town hall, and it might be on the website, I'm not sure. And they fill out the form, they hand it to the reception at town hall. And when they have time, they scan it over to Coastal Engravers in Myrtle Beach, who makes the granite plaques. And then when they have them ready, they call us up and my guys will go pick them up and install them.
My question is, who handles the money wise of it?
Town hall.
Town hall.
Yeah.
handles it.
They pay with a
So
credit
that
card
would
or a
fall
check.
under, the finance, town hall.
Yes.
What would be the harm of them still handling this same thing through the town store? If that's who handles it now. Would it make a big difference to them for right now?
If
To that one person?
I would say, it sounds like there's gonna be a lot of ordering, so it's gonna be more than just a brick or memorial. So you're talking about plaques and T-shirts and hats, and so it's gonna be a lot more.
Well, right now, we're just talking about plaques.
Okay.
It has not been moved up to anything except plaques right now. And that's why I'm asking, as of right now, can that person handle plaques on the pier and the plaques at Memorial Park? If whoever's handling it now, would it be a big inconvenience to them to just?
I'd say if you say it just plaques, the answer would be yes.
Yes, it can be handled, yes.
But if we move farther than that, then we would have to look at it differently.
Correct, yes.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I
Ms.
have a
Shaw.
comment about that. If we would do the same with these plaques for the pier as we do with the memorial, I personally, purchased 2 plaques, for the memorial, and there was a timeline of gap because it wasn't done electronically. I had to take my time, I had to go to town hall, I had to fill it out, and then I was called back to, to ensure that, my spelling and everything was correct. And then I was called again, so there's a lot of back and forth. I'm not saying anything about I just think our town employees are so taxed to the max. If we can come up with this electronic way, I think it would definitely outweigh it.
Any other comments, questions? All right, so we have on the table, look back again. I'm looking. Okay, here we go. We are creating an online plaque ordering system. And again, this is only for these plaques. We're not even talking the Memorial Park plaques yet. This is for just the pier plaques, and then we could adjust later if we saw fit. So we are looking to create an online plaque ordering system for the pier plaques, and that's the motion on the table. So we're done. No more comments. Ms. Medina.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mr. Steen,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckler.
Yes.
Mayor Crown.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Item number 9, change the plaque design. And, okay, this is the fish tabs and such, right? Okay. All right, so we're just looking at friendlier, less intricate designs, I suppose. More square, oval, rounded, whatever, something without.
Yeah. So the difficulty with crafting these recommendations is dependent whether or not you folks like plastic or didn't, wanted to go with those versus different design, so that's why there's this weird nuance approach. For the plaque design, if we go with something that's breakable, our recommendation is to not have as many protrusions that, right, people can pick at, or like watching the Hulu show and just sit there and bing, 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 right? The small Surfside Beach logos, they're really tough. If you're walking on the pier, they just look like dots.
It's also probably maybe costly to just add that logo as well, so it may add into our.
And you know where you're at.
Yep.
Would it be beneficial to look at the plaque material first and then?
I think that'd be a better.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so let's set aside number 9 right now and look at number 10 for improved plaque material. And if I can take some liberty here, it would be essentially, you're asking or recommending an RFP for a metal, probably bronze.
Bronze, bronze or Corian, and we
Or
probably
Corian, yeah.
assist the RFP by placing outbound calls, but transparency, the existing product, I think, was ready to roll a week ago, right? So this is delaying getting plaques on the pier in exchange for a different material and maybe enhanced longevity. So there's gonna be a timeline impact.
Understood, yes, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey?
I'd like to make a motion that we, improve the plant material.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so the motion on the table is to improve plaque material, leaving it TBD, I suppose, at this point. You guys would work to craft an RFP. We would do it through the town, but you would have input, so, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Krakow?
has either one of you seen the Corian? Is it, or been
No,
told
I
how thick
just
it
came-
is?
I just came across it and the photo of it, it looks quarter of an inch at that.
Any information on longevity?
No, other than like literally me Googling Korean marine environment, it's all thick. Take that for what it's worth. And
If they're thin, they're gonna be able to be picked at too. Corian's tough, but not tough like bronze would be.
I thought it was interesting because the New Jersey aquariums, North Carolina aquariums. What? Good shot for them.
Be nice, be nice.
They've got the aquariums, they have a couple of piers, they've got a lighthouse, right? So they offer these products at a lot of different places. So part of me was thinking like, there's some experience there and like some concern for like zooming in is not helping you out a whole lot. Looking at it now, I'd be doubtful if that's a quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch.
You can't deal with it.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Looks pretty flat.
Yeah. But it was an interesting product that.
Well, the salt won't affect it. The UV, doesn't affect it as much as plastic.
Yeah. So
in my
I
opinion.
think check it out and see, I mean, we got a sample of it here.
Have you thought of contacting the aquarium and see what they think?
They're the ones that I didn't get in touch with yet.
Okay.
So I talked to somebody about the interior plaques, but the exterior ones was a whole another area, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
I think we should put off voting for this until we actually see the material and also the design. Because if Corian's gonna be, if we vote on Corian and then we vote for the design and then we find out that we might have the same problem we have with the plastic. I'd just like to see the thickness of it. I know bronze, you're not gonna, no matter what shape it is, you're not gonna be able to top it up. I mean, someone could take a screwdriver or
They will.
something
When
like
they
that.
will.
We're talking about someone just coming. I would like to see the material first, and then we could decide on the plaque design.
I think I didn't do a good job here, but I think that number 10 is for an RFP to go out, like vote to move on an RFP, and then we get pricing and samples and all that stuff too. And then you can make a decision of.
Mr. Mayor, I think
Right,
that,
so.
Well, I just want to,
Great, great.
Mr. Coleman, are you done? Does that satisfy your question?
Yeah, we can do an RFP for the bronze and the Corian plaques. And then I would still wait for the design after that.
But our motion on the table is just to look at different
I
material.
got it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
okay. All right, then Mr. Stanley, you would, oh, okay, that's what you would, all right. I have a couple of questions, comments, I guess. Aluminum, you give any consideration to that?
I'm sorry.
Aluminum?
Yeah, I did, it popped up, just, again, it's just us Googling
Salt
stuff.
water.
The corrosion of aluminum is,
Actually, it's,
it
it whitens, but I mean, it's.
Yeah,
it
like
doesn't rust. Yeah, that's why they do aluminum wheels.
The craziness of, like, if you go to like sailing sites of different materials for mast and, right, stainless versus aluminum versus copper versus bronze, right, that's where, again, no expert, but aluminum, the corrosion of it seemed to be an axe.
Well, again, it's just, you can ask for whatever you want, but, all right, I just wanted to bring that up. I think I had one more in here. Make notes throughout this thing. Hang on just a second, if you don't mind. Okay. Well, I guess that is the only question I had, so, all right, that's the end of my time. Anybody else have any questions, comments? All right, so the motion on the table is to just send out an RFP to improve the black material, consider additional black materials. Any last comments? All right, Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kreplon,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mayor Kraft.
Yes, okay, motion carries unanimously. With that, I don't know that we need to look at the black design, because I don't think you're gonna get those kind of shapes out of a bronze or Gordian black. I mean, but you can actually put that in the same thing, just request what the design should look like.
Details.
So I don't think we need a motion for that, but if anybody would like to, we're kind of restarting this whole thing. All right, that brings us to number 11, begin planning for a visitor center shared space. We have a motion for that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman.
make a motion to begin planning for a visitor center shared space.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second, and I'll just start real quickly. We're starting this, so you're gonna start investigating sliding windows, roll-up doors, all of this stuff?
So I
That's how
think
you interpret
specific, I think specific to the doors, that's already in motion to get some quotes on that. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. Roll-up door versus sliding door. So I think that is in motion. This is just to make it real. I don't know how to say it without, it feels that like there's just differences of opinions on this, and someone needs to say, we're not gonna do this, or let's go do it. And everybody just march in line and work on figuring it out. And if something goes crazy sideways, we'll reconsider. But like at this point, we're just bouncing up 600 days trying to get a price on a rolling door. That's not being disrespectful. Until this body says, the majority of it says, we want to pursue this, I think we're just stuck either aggravating people by asking questions over and over again, or right.
Okay, so if I could restate it, then the purpose of this motion would be to direct Administrator Vincent to begin a plan for this through his staff, whether it's Director Adair or whomever, working with the beer committee to come up with a plan for a town store, visitor center, shared space, whatever, in that 10 by 10.
I think that's right. We're happy to help in any extent at all.
Okay, well, with that basic understanding, any other comments, questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Cracknell.
Here again, I'd like to kind of dispute the figures. Down at Folly Beach, first of all, it's a larger area. It's part of Charleston. It's actually ran by, I believe, the Charleston Public Parks or whatever the division is.
Yeah.
So it's got a large entity behind it to keep people there. In this case, I just have a hard time, I guess, with the town being in more business than we already are. I think the kiosk application, one of them could very well be a t-shirt cart or a gift shop cart, which would have a ordering book along the same line as we would like to do. And I also, I don't know the legality on this, but I've heard that a town without having another enterprise fund can't really charge more than what we spend for certain items. I don't know if that's true or not. I've heard that. I don't know. Does any, I guess that's a question for Jarrett.
Offhand, I don't know the answer to that.
My understanding is if it's part of government activity, so when you look at like our audited financial statements, it'll separate out
Right.
government activity versus enterprise. Excuse me, enterprise can be
Right, but we would have to start another
profitable.
enterprise fund.
But we have one for the pier. The pier is an enterprise fund.
Okay,
Right.
I guess you're right. Okay, yeah. I just do have a problem with us getting into more businesses. It just seems like we don't make good business decisions. And maybe that's a bad business decision to not do this. I don't know. I just look at it more as a fishing pier and let other people, it's more, I guess, I know I sound disjointed, but it's more of like a park, in my opinion. It's an amenity for the town to have the pier. It doesn't have to make us money. Yes, it'd be nice to make money off it. It'd be really nice to have it break even at least. And maybe this would help us do that. I don't know, but I think if we turn it over to a third party, we almost for sure would make money off of it. Maybe not as much, but we for sure would make money because a private person's going to make sure it makes them a profit. Whereas the town sometimes, we didn't make a profit, big deal, we'll figure it out next year. That's just my opinion on it, so.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the honesty. Just two retorts there is the pier doesn't need to make money, but the town's running out of levers to pull if it doesn't do better. Like the pier fund, the cash value of what's available at this rate, you run out. Right. So the economics need to improve. The store alone is not going to carry the pier, save the day. And if we lease that space, like that bottom bar in the gray, if you vote no to this, we at least are aware as a peer committee of one business owner who said, I'll lease the space. The downside is it's 120 square feet, market rate's $45. Even if you double it, right, it's such a small spot, it's hard to like value it unless you can always go higher than market rate. But it's compared to the other leases in there, the square footage cost, really not comparable to, even if we don't sell a ton of merchandise. So it's with it. Generally, I violently opposed to government running businesses. It's just got a little tiny space there. It's almost like, give it a shot. That's why we're suggesting. But thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Sean.
How I view this is, especially when you guys said the T-shirt plus the visitor center. There's two parts here. First, yes, T-shirts are gonna make you money, no matter what. And there's kind of like a two-shopper thing. There's people that walk up and have to see the T-shirt, they have to feel it. And then they'll buy 3. And then there's that person that just goes online and they may buy 6 because they don't have to feel it. But you're giving them the option here both ways. The second part that I really think is fantastic with the visitor center, to me, it's a goodwill among our other businesses within town. You know, they walk up to the visitor center, you know, you have your list of restaurants right off the bat, list of activities. I think that's a goodwill for our visitors, as well as our residents. There's some residents don't realize everything that we have to offer. So I'm particularly for this because I think it would do well.
Thank you.
I'll be the first one to buy a T-shirt.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stamey.
I'd like to know the cost of what it's gonna cost for John to move his people from that office at upstairs or wherever you're gonna have to move them. What is the cost of that's gonna happen? And I also would like to know if we do this, if we get a store there and we have people there working, would that not be a source of people to work on these plaques and stuff too? Could them people not handle that too? Would that not be another way of handling it instead of town hall handling it? But that's.
Yeah, I can't really go into that per se, but I can tell you about the space. There's an unconditioned storage area above the bathrooms and town space. That would have to be converted into a conditioned space if we were to move people up there. We discussed at our meeting a couple of weeks ago that our people could still use that room for what they need it for, because you're just gonna have maybe a window to refit that storefront with a window. Now, I caution, with the heat and air conditioning load on that room. I'm not in favor of putting a roll-up door or having the whole side open. You'll be replacing your air conditioner and molding the ductwork every year if you do that. We put a big shade on that whole wall because it's blinding sun all day long coming in that window. When they first installed the AC system last year and we got access to that room, it was like 90 degrees in there until we put the full wall shade in, and now the thermostat can satisfy itself. So if we're gonna have a window of some kind, and the shade's not gonna be covering the whole thing, and it's gonna be open air partially, we're gonna have HVAC problems. So, but we may be able to be overcome with an air curtain or something similar. I thought of what Ms. Fallon thought of as far as t-shirts. A lot of people want to touch and feel. I don't know how much of that can go on through a window. And so, let me get you a large. Yeah, let me get you an extra large. I don't, I'd like to make money like as much as anybody else. I want the pier to be successful. The logistics of it bother me a little bit. We can certainly do what we have to do as far as the maintenance go. We can upfit the upstairs. I can move some of the items in there upstairs. It's just opening it up. The occupancy is an issue, so you really can't have people coming in there to shop and look and have tables and display racks because the occupancy level is 2 people, a salesperson and a customer. So although I like the idea, logistically getting there is something we have to explore. I have a couple of requests out for quotes to redo that storefront, that side, and we'll see what they come back at.
And with his original question, do you have quotes to condition the upper space too? Are you pursuing them?
I will. I will. We'd have to.
You don't have right now, right this time, you don't have that.
I don't have one right now, no. We'd have to build a partition wall because we have to segregate our space from Whistling Duck space. Right now, it's one big open space. And then we'd have to upgrade our air conditioning system to accommodate that extra square footage up there.
But back to the open window. Why couldn't you put an open window on the side that comes up from the ramp? That would be a whole lot better than facing the sun there all the time. Would that not be a bigger space to where you'd have a counter out there for people to look at? The shirts and stuff? Because I was at the 4th of July celebration up here at the park, and they were selling t-shirts up there left and right. And it was because they could touch them or feel them and see them. And when they went up there to buy some, a lot of people bought 2 and 3, and they didn't want to go over to town hall. So I think a store out there is the way to go. Honestly, if we don't do it, somebody else needs to.
But if this whole area is a window, you've got 11 foot of counter space. We're not gonna have an interior store because we're limited to 2 people in there. I don't think you need to condition upstairs because John's staff, I think the small desk, a chair.
Come and go, yeah.
Come and go, they're still there, so you don't need to condition anything upstairs.
Do you think they can be still in there?
Yeah, the concern about the air conditioner and the ducts, I could valid, but like right here is gonna be an entire outdoor pavilion where people are gonna be eating out in the sun. So if that window's open and you don't have an air conditioner, it's just an open air.
What's this? How much space would you have if it did it here?
Depends on what you want to take out. That's another 11 foot wall. You got a 36-inch door there. So if you keep the door and you do the rest, put a
5-6 foot.
I also think some of our recommendation was based on the flow of folks, which would be going onto the pier. And also, a lot of times when I'm up there, I see that the ice cream joint, the people lined up all over that area. So it probably will get bottlenecked if anybody's using the ramp. So not that it's not a good idea and something we can look into, but our recommendation was just based on the flow and possible the most flow of traffic.
And that's a narrower corridor to get to that ramp. So as far as the egress goes, I don't think we want a big queuing line there anyway, the bathrooms and all.
You got a line there now, did
Well, say the second line.
So this is the recommendation. This is where we've been for 2 years. Like we're just all over each other, merging it. The ask is for town council to say, stop it, no town store, or we like the idea, go after it. Everybody. That's the ask, so we could all get over,
But you know that ain't gonna happen, that we're gonna discuss it one way or another, we're all not gonna sit here and say it's a done deal, we're gonna discuss it and come up with what I hope the best idea for us to do. I think it's a great idea, I've always been on board for this.
Well, and just let me clarify, I mean, right here, it says begin planning for a visitor center shared space. That is the motion on the table, to begin planning. And correct me if I'm wrong, but to begin planning, as you begin doing it, you could say, we can't do this, and it should be leased out. I don't know that even has to be a separate, I mean, that can come from the town, from Administrator Vincent and his staff as they begin planning. But start bringing ideas to council about how we do this specifically. I mean, that's really what we have on the table right now.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman.
I love the idea of a town store. Are you sure there's only 2 people allowed in that space? Well, honestly, I mean, could it be 4 people? I don't think it's gonna be a big run into that store that's gonna be a ton. See, the problem I have, this whole pier wasn't very well thought out. It really wasn't. And I'm not making a statement that is surprising anybody. But to build this with a little tiny space there and without having a foresight of building this roll-up door already, that's what I'm having a problem with, an extra expense. We're finding out there's extra expenses all over that pier still.
Yeah.
And now you're asking me to put up a roll-up door. I'm having a little problem with the roll-up door because it's more expensive. And to even state it even more is, there's a tenant there now, have a great business, and you know what's happening? They got so good of a business, they want a new air conditioning. It's gonna cost us, they want it to cost us. So my problem is now, you have a door, I get it. In 9 months a year, it's fine, really not. You got the hot summer months, you're gonna have to need another air conditioner, and it's gonna cost us a lot of money. I'm not looking to spend money, I'm looking to waste. I would love for that place to be able to have all sorts of money. Because, mom and pop go in, or mom goes into the Drippies to get ice cream, and pop's sitting downstairs, and he goes, hey, you just look in here. I don't think it's gonna be a heavy traffic area, so if it was only, if you could have 4 or 5 people in there, I think we could work it without the roll-up door. You can hang T-shirts on the windows, they come in, yeah, I like that T-shirt, let me see it, take it off the rack, here you go, quick exchange, couple of magnets, couple of bottle openers. I'm having a problem with the roll-up door. That's the only problem I have, and I think it's a great idea. Visitor center, like Miss Shawn said, you go away and you go to a hotel lobby and they got these racks of little cards telling you what you can do. And believe it or not, I pick up one once in a while and I actually do it. And that'd be a great way for people to find out what we have in this town. And there's a lot of great things people don't know about.
Yeah.
So I'm for it. I'm just not I can't get past the roll-up door yet.
Yeah, Mr. Coleman, just to answer, I mean, we have did some research on occupancy. The only really thing that we could do is create more space in there. And we thought about maybe opening the door up into the janitor office to create more square footage, but it's still not going to add much to it. It may still be at a 2 or it may bump up to a 3. So I don't really think that's feasible, but that's basically the only way.
And y'all don't have no cost whatsoever for.
We
Well,
on that wall, we have a window that looks at a wall. Why?
Are you talking about the one with the
Monitor.
LCD in it?
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
janitor closet? I think there's plans to put a bulletin board in there and
I know.
move the TV close to the mirror and put a border.
I don't understand, why just put a bulletin board outside on the wall, and then I don't get 3 feet of space behind, behind a window, which costs a lot of money because it's hurricane, and you're looking at a wall. And it just-
Yeah, I don't know, it's in
Yeah,
the design, the
Yeah.
the stairwell, I think, behind that, I don't know. I know.
It's too late to do anything.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kinker.
My first question is, John, do you think this is a good idea? Because you claimed this space in the past, and are you willing to share the space?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Again, there's logistics that have to be overcome to make it work.
Well, that's what we're working towards, but I don't want to start off and you really don't want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then we need to kill it. But if you're okay with
Yeah,
it,
well, our
that's
staff
why I'm asking.
question around this, my concern about this is can we make the space sell what we would like it to sell with a window without destroying the building in the process, and offer people the variety that they might want. It reminds me, I went to a concert recently where they sell T-shirts and they have all these cardboard boxes and they're having you different sizes. I kind of envision that kind of scenario because there's not a lot of room to store anything in there. I don't want to create I don't want people to come and say, what kind of operation they got here? I don't want to cast this in a negative light, is my point. Sure, making money is great. How much money you make, we'll see. But we'll work around whatever council comes up with. But again, the only thing I'm not in favor of is a full open wall.
Okay, I understand. I just wanted to make sure. That's the first question.
Yes, sir.
Then we have a same issue we talked about earlier. Who takes care of the inventory? I mean, I know who does it right now, but you're talking about small volume right now. You could be talking fairly large volume, and somebody has to take care of that. Who's actually in charge? These are questions that you've got to answer. And are we going to do cash? Are we just going to do debit and credit? Because cash, ask John Hyatt, he'll tell you cash is the hardest thing to keep track of.
Yeah.
And your idea of just showing the T-shirts and letting them order online, you don't have $100,000 employee cost. It's inconvenience. You can't have it right then, but it saves the town a lot of money if we don't have employees working. It's just an order system. So, I mean, that's the things I want you to look at. It's a lot to ask, but $30,000 on a $250,000 investment is not real good in my book. Because there's issues that you haven't addressed, like who's in charge, who's going to take care of the inventory, who's going to do the inventory. If you have a business, every so often you've got to take a physical inventory. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
we've been talking about this store a lot. I mean, it's been, even when I was on the other side of this. What we're being asked tonight is to say yay or nay. And let's move forward, but at the same time, have the town give us back the answers. And I think you either want the store or you don't want the store. You cannot have all the logistics up front. You just can't. We got a space, that's a big part of it. We either vote and give it a try. If the store fails in a year, then relocate that space for something, but we got to try. Selling T-shirts, I went up to pick my packet up last Friday. There was 3 people that wanted T-shirts. Guess where they were? They were in boxes, not in town hall because of the festival. That's nobody's fault. I'm not saying that. But you have people that are going to town hall, but not that many people know about that. So you have a situation where you can have a store on the pier where people are going left and right. pier is crowded. So why don't we just move forward with this? Say yes to the store and see if it fails, or you don't know. We might come out. I guess my thing, and when I talk to residents, is they're so tired that this pier, we're in the red, and we're in the red a lot. So let's start making it profitable. Everybody's talking about drippies. They're like killing it. Let's go. And they want to see that more. The residents want the pier to succeed. So this is just another opportunity. Let's try it.
I just want to clarify something here. We are not voting on a town store right now. We're not voting on a roll-up window. We're voting on directing the administration to bring a plan to us. We will then decide if we're going to pursue a town store, if it's going to have a roll-up window, if it's going to have sliding window, if it's going to be people inside. So I want to keep that straight. That's the motion on the table right now. So the other points are very important, but we're asking for a plan. We're saying we want to try to pursue a town store and try to get a plan together. Then we'll decide if it makes sense or not. We're not going town store today, yes or no. That's not the motion on the table. Somebody could make that, but that is not what we have. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, last thing.
Go ahead.
To move this forward though, we have to have a positive support from the town hall. And this has been going on for too long, the back and forth. We recommend them to go forward and bring plans to us, but they have to bring us positive plans. And that's all I asked.
Yeah. Is there any other comment, questions, debate? All right, let me restate the motion. Begin planning for a visitor center or shared space. And that again, could include a lease it out option too. So all of those are on the table, but we're asking to direct Administrator Vincent to develop a plan with his staff. That's really what it boils down to. All right, Ms. Medina?
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckler,
No.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. Okay, motion carries 6-1. We will start looking for a plan for the visitor center shared space. And with that.
That concludes the first half of our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson.
Can I ask a favor of you all of the plan? Can we please not do 11? Do we have to rewrite War and Peace every time you all come before us? Come with a couple of things.
This was the only time.
Wow.
Yeah, we tried to get on the docket for a while, so.
So with these recommendations, this is the items we've been working on for a very long time. We finally got to go and put it on the agenda, so definitely appreciate y'all working together tonight, and thank y'all.
Okay, now what we need to do, thank you guys, yes, but what we need to do now is I gotta rearrange everything again. I got it right here. I got it. We have, we're gonna step back to item 6A, Adaptive Surf Project. And I'm going to thank Mr. Sharp for his patience.
No problem. That was great. I really enjoyed it. I mean that sincerely, because I think that a lot of times you guys that are serving the community get a lot of you get a lot of slack from people sometimes and stuff. And I think it's just I'm just honored to be here because I think that you should be appreciated, and I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do for this community. I live in Cherry Grove, and we have events down here on what avenue is that? 33rd South, and we have one September 7th, Will to Surf. My name is Luke Sharp. I'm the director of Adaptive Surf Project, and what we do is we started about 11, 12 years ago taking individuals that happen to have disabilities surfing. But then what we found out is that people that happen to have disabilities, in order to be able to go surfing, they have to be able to get on the beach. And that's pretty challenging if you have mobility issues. So I've done a little research, and I found out somewhere, depending on what survey you look at, somewhere between 3 to 5% of all humans have mobility issues. Some of them use like walkers or wheelchairs. You guys know this. I mean, I'm not making this up. And it's difficult in sand.
And so beach matting is super important. And beach wheelchairs are extremely important. And what's happened is our organization over the last few years has been helping out with beach matting and beach wheelchairs, in addition to taking people surfing and biking and on trips. This morning, I just left Puerto Rico. I was up down there helping make a surf spot there accessible to adaptive surfers that were there, and working with an organization there, and they wholeheartedly put in matting. We donated 100 feet of matting there and some beach wheelchairs. But a lot of us go there and surf and stuff. But basically, I'm here to tell you that we got a grant because of the work we've been doing. We've been getting donations. We've donated a lot of matting, and we've applied for some grants, and we got the Craig H. Nielsen grant and the Christopher Reeves grant. And with those funds, we're going to make 9 spots along from Pawleys Island to Cherry Grove accessible. We want to make 9 beaches accessible to people that have wheelchairs, and not only wheelchairs, but buggies and so forth. We got I have 700 feet of Moby matting left that we are going to give away. I'm not doing anything controversial. I think this is something that's helpful. But in order to do that, we have to find the spots. And I think that it's key to kind of scope it out, because it's not just like, oh, there's a beach, let's roll up mat. You have to be able, and I know that it's counterintuitive, but you have to be able to, the person with a wheelchair has to be able to park a vehicle, get out of their car and roll down to the spot. And I've rated, and we've run into issues where people have put matting down and there's a curb or there's a step or something, and there's no way to get to it. It's never used. But like I'm saying, I think that we could probably find 3 or 4 spots in Surfside Beach, say 2 to 4, let's go for that, where this is possible, where we can put down the Moby matting. And we'll work with DHEC. They come out and inspect the spot first and kind of tell us what we can do. Like, for example, we can't go past the dune with the Moby matting. It has to go to the end of the dune. Keep like out on the beach because of erosion. And it has to start with where the pavement ends. So it's pavement to the beach, for people to be able to get on the beach. And I want to say just 2 quick things, and I'll just let y'all ask me questions or whatever. But there's 2 reasons to do this. One is economics. I get messages constantly now from people, hey, where are the accessible beaches at? I'm coming on vacation, bringing my grandfather and bringing my son who has cerebral palsy or something, and we need to know where they are. And I'm like, oh, there's a matting over at 33rd Avenue or whatever, and there's a beach wheelchair at the Cherry Grove Pier, and they are this place provides beach wheelchairs for you, and they go there. So if you don't have that, you're telling people they're not welcome, and you're talking about like 3 to 5% of all humans won't come here because of that. So there's an economic impact. But the second thing, I think this is way more important, is that when all is said and done, the only thing that matters is how we treat each other. Kindness and love is the most important thing, and this is just a chance for us to just be kind and help some residents and help some visitors be able to enjoy the beach as much as those of us that can run on it and walk and stuff. So that's why I'm here. It's nothing controversial. I just want to give you all some stuff.
We'll take it.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Sharp?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Walls.
have you spoken with our Public Works, John?
I've met with
Because John has
with Jerry,
big
I
plans.
think, and I know there's about that's the start of the process, and he said should address you all about what we're doing.
Yeah.
We've installed beach. We got 6 beach accesses installed in North Hurl Beach. We put a beach access in Atlantic Beach. There's one in Briarcliff, and we put one at the Pawleys Island at the point so far. And then we put one in Costa Rica. Not Costa Rica, Puerto Rico this time. But a few years ago, we also went to a surf spot in Costa Rica, and they put one in Colombia, South America. So we've been doing this kind of stuff a lot. But no, I just, this is the beginning, part of this deal. And you guys excuse me, I like I said, I woke up this morning at like 4:30 in Puerto Rico, got on a plane, you know, it drove straight here, so I'm a little less, I was late. I drove from Raleigh.
Appreciate the effort.
No, this is, I love this, and we're a 100% volunteer organization, no one's making any money, we're just like, you know, just a bunch of surfers that want to help out, you know, community.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. State.
I'd like to thank you for coming into town and offering stuff, but I would like to, you need to probably talk with John
Of course,
there.
yeah.
And Mr. Vincent to get these places up. As far as I'm concerned, it's a great idea. I don't know about the beach chairs, what liable the town would be once we get the beach chairs, but the Moby mats are great.
Right.
I love to go to the beach places that has them now to get out on the beach. I'm a little bit older, so
Yeah.
that's not what I'm saying too.
Well, I mean, everyone loves them regardless if it's, you have a disability or not, it's just a nice, you know.
But I would suggest that you get with these people because I think it's a great idea.
And let me tell you though, about the chairs though, there's a huge need for the beach roll chairs.
I've
And
seen these people use
Yeah.
these chairs before, and it is great, but I don't know exactly what the town would be liable in
Right.
lawsuits or anything with these beach chairs.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to point out that we have chairs already.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the police department has 6 chairs already, and we also, when these chairs are requested, beach services will deliver to that access point, and there's a liability form that they have to sign, which releases us from liability.
And they're free.
That's great. I mean, you know, and that's tell people they're welcome here, you know?
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
What do people do? Because these mats have to stop at the dune.
Right.
And that's where the soft sand really starts.
And honestly, and I'll tell you the truth about that. To speak frankly, in Puerto Rico, they installed them all the way to the high tide line.
Yeah.
And in Costa Rica, they actually paved. They went crazy. They paved it all the way to the high tide line, and they hired a guy that works on the beach full time for $1,000, middle class income of $1,000 a month. And he's there, and he gets his beach wheelchair and takes people on down to the beach, and they have temporary mats. They roll. I mean, you could, you know, I'd love to just plant a seed and y'all put a couple of mats, and you realize, oh, I could do some more. You know?
Well, we do have some, but
yeah,
unfortunately, they stop at our dunes, and that's where our really soft sand starts.
And that's where beach wheelchairs come in handy.
Right.
But the complaint that I get from people, and you know, on social media and everywhere, people, because like I said, is that if I'm trying to be independent with a wheelchair, I can only go to the end of the mat. And there's a gentleman and I'm in Cherry Grove all the time surfing and stuff, and there's a gentleman that comes here with his family. He has a motorized wheelchair, so he rolls to the end of the beach mat, and it has this thing that kind of lets him like lay out, and he stops there, and then his family gathers around him in his chairs. It's beautiful and it's sad. It's because he can't go down to the beach. I have an idea for that, and I don't know, one of these days the community will adopt something like this. Is we have these we have our events, we have these like plastic things that fold up, and we just like, you know, they can cover 100 square feet of beach, and we put everybody in wheelchairs are on there. It'd be great one day if a lifeguards had like a stack of those, and some guy shows up and they're like, oh, here I got you, and they just lay them out and let them go to the beach and then take them up at night. But I'm talking, you know, to convince you guys to do something like that's going to take a long time. Yeah. But that's a really legitimate complaint people have, because they want to be independent. You know, beach wheelchair, you're not independent. You're being pushed on the beach, which is better than not going on the beach. But
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shonner.
I'm not gonna hold you to it.
No.
But, say in a week or two, we said, okay, we have a beach access. What could you do for us? Say after, logistics and everything else, how fast would it be for you to supply?
Well, we stopped by and talked to the city manager, Mr. Bellamy, over at Atlantic Beach on like Tuesday, and he had his council meeting, and then that Saturday we installed it, and they had the news there and everything. It was pretty cool. It ended up being a lot more work because we had to like drill through it was concrete under the sand, so we had to like rent a power, there was, like, there was, I didn't realize that they had built like a walkway, they got covered in sand. So but we want to do that, hopefully, just go through, the spikes go through sand. There's long spikes, and and if there's a storm, a lot of times people will take them up, like a flood or something like that. I mean, it's not without any maintenance. People sweep them off sometime and things like that.
This is in the communications item, so we're not doing any votes.
Right, yeah, I'm just talking
at this point.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, but if I'm hearing right, we don't need beach wheelchairs, we have enough, is 6 enough, or are we looking to increase that?
I mean, we have capacity for additional, I think we're adding 2. I don't think we're ever out. I don't think we've run out.
You guys are in good shape, because we run out.
So it would be the acceptance of the Moby Max.
Okay, yeah.
And then my question would be, I mean, Director Adair just installed at least one new one, and maybe a couple. How many more viable accesses do we have?
Once third south is in, which will be real soon, the next one that possibly I could do is 16th North. It's a straight shot out from the access. And it's not from a paved area, it's from the end of the access, which is hard packed sand.
Is there a coquina kind of or something? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of flat. There's no stairs involved. All the other ones have stairs or they're drive overs, emergency drive overs. So maybe one more I could do.
Okay.
I'll look around, but I don't really see many more opportunities than that.
But 16th North doesn't have a parking area for like a.
Well, about a Holiday Inn, one short block away.
Okay.
50
So they're
feet
all-
away, there's
Gotcha,
a park.
Gotcha, okay. All right, that's just the questions I had. So we could accept one is probably about all we have that would work. That's
I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay, all right. But it's still a great offer.
Okay.
All right.
Let me know, we'll do it.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, and I think I'll talk to you soon, because, September 7th, we have World Surf over at 3030 South, I think it is. You guys got a nice ADA accessible ramp there.
All right.
All right, thank you guys for listening to me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate all you're doing for the
Patient.
community. No problem.
Okay, we're back on the agenda, and we're item number 9, public comments, and this is regarding town services or business conducted. Do we have any public comments?
Come on out, we don't have to relate to anything.
I sat here. I'm not gonna stand up here, I feel weird having my
We
back.
have to speak to the
Okay.
microphone up,
Okay,
and name and address, please.
sure. Kristen Sterling at 1518 North Palmetto Drive. Emailed you guys a couple weeks ago in regards to a tree that was intentionally poisoned in the lot next to my home. The reason I'm here tonight is not to talk about the investigation or anything that's going on. I am here to ask for your help to save the tree. I've been in communication with the owner of the lot, and he basically is do whatever you want to do. He lives up in Greenville, so he's asked me to kind of help him out with this. Long story short, I had a tree service come out last week, and the arborist said the tree can be saved, but we need to take action now. We need to do something now. The longer we wait, obviously, the ability to save the tree decreases. So with that said, I got an estimate, $2,450, Sawright Tree Service. They're licensed here in Surfside. He will come out, and I have the estimate. I can forward it to you guys, and we can save the tree. So that's why I'm here. What can we do? I need your help.
We can't engage right now, but
So y'all have my contact information. You have my name. We've spoken, my phone number. So I would greatly appreciate it. Or if anybody else would like to help, I appreciate it.
all right,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Are there any other?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, we couldn't
We don't know what the request was.
Yeah. I'm trying to save a live oak tree that was poisoned intentionally, and so I'm asking the town council or town members to help me out with that. In what way was it poisoned? I need money. How was it poisoned?
okay, I'm gonna need to continue the meeting. Are there any other public comments?
Keith Ashby for 113th Avenue North. I just want to say, you guys are rock stars. I enjoy hearing your report. You've got some great ideas. I support your ideas, and I believe a lot of other residents support your ideas as well.
Thank you.
Where there's a will, there is a way. There's some other ideas, there's some great ideas we could do here to make this work. We'll try to make it to your next committee meeting, if I can, and just give you some of my ideas that might make this workable, or at least better, at least for your consideration. Does that sound okay? Perfect. Councilwoman Fallon, you're a rock star, you're right. We need to, these guys, their ideas, we need to find will to make them work, okay? Residents want to see that here succeed, and we want to see it succeed for all of us, and the way to do that is with some of these ideas. You, sir, support committees. You reinstated this committee. So let's see that support. Thanks.
Thank you very much. He liked the peer committee.
He said I'm a rock star.
You're like Michelle.
You're a document. I'm a rock star. Never been a rock star before.
Are there any other public comments? All right, then we're gonna move on to the town council discussion comments. So I'm going to start, Mr. Kreckloff. I think I started you last time, sorry.
That's okay. Thanks for coming, and I'll make it short again this week, and be glad to see you next time.
Mr. Kinkin.
Well, I want to thank the peer committee. They did an awesome job. They had a really good presentation. Visuals do help, especially if it's old people. I want to thank our staff, our first responders. We're very fortunate to have the people that work for us. Some of the new hires I've just finally had time to get around to talk to this week. I'm very impressed with their attitude and how they want to move the town forward. I want to thank Jerry for all his work. He's got a pile. Well, it's down a little bit, but anyway, it's a pretty good sized pile of stuff he's working on, and we just added in some more. So we live in a great town, and with that, I just say God bless all of you, and hope to see you in 2 weeks.
Mr. Walls.
I can't hardly beat what Mr. Kinkin just said. Just wanted to thank everybody for signing in and listening in and attending the meeting. And our town staff, God bless y'all. Thanks for all you do for us. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks. George.
Mr. Coleman.
Thanks for coming out. If you weren't around on 4th of July, you really missed a great time. That golf talk parade was fantastic. It really was. It was tons of people out, tons of kids out there. You know, people up on balconies waving and laughing and joking. And the sure sign of the family beach. I mean, there's a lot of haters. Well, there are some haters in this town. But there's a lot more good people in there. And I had a ball. I really did. We do these events to bring people in, and people always are gonna come on 4th of July, no matter what we have. But I tell you what, if we have things like that, the golf cart parade, we had something at Memorial Park, they're gonna keep coming here. The same people are gonna keep coming year after year after year. So we're ensuring that they're gonna come. There are people always gonna be coming to the area. We want the same families to come year after year. And I think the expense that we did pay for it far outweighed, did not weigh, the people coming far outweighed the money we paid. I want to thank the first responders too. In this weather, it's really rough out there. And they're out there every day doing it. I see them all the time. I don't know. I still see them all the time. Down the pier the other day, I saw a radio car go by 3 times, not the same one. And that's what it's all about. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Stingy.
I don't think everybody's coming out doing our staff, our great staff here in town. I still don't think y'all guys are rock stars. I ain't heard you sing a word. But that's my opinion of it. But, on the other hand, I'd like to address this tree deal. I hope the town is maybe something they can do for you. I hope that they'd look into it until whatever actions needs to be taken against people who has done this to the tree. And I hope that our police department, which I think they've told us they're investigating it, and I hope they brought to justice for doing this, because our live oak trees in this town means a lot, everybody. They mean a lot of water they drink up. They just, everything means a great deal to us for this water. And for somebody to actually poison a live oak tree, then that's pretty sad. It's a sad situation that you have here in town, but I do hope that the town can help in any way, some way, to get this tree saved. We're saying that. Thanks for everybody coming out tonight.
Thank you very much. Ms. Shawn.
Special thanks for 4th of July, the parade, the idea of the golf carts being on one side of the road made it so much safer with the throwing out the candy. It was very well planned. And it is true. Everybody likes seeing the police officers, and it was just great, the atmosphere. It was, the council and people that work at the police department or the fire department. Even people were out from the restaurants. They came out from Neil and Pam's, and they said, I didn't see your cart. I says, because my grandchildren wanted the candy. Couldn't be in the parade. But my special thanks, it's always going to be poured out to the first responders. And you guys did a great job on 4th of July. It's just like any other police department. You know what? Am I going to call the police department because somebody's firing off fireworks? Or do I want them to respond if somebody's hurt in an accident or being broken into? It's called common sense, people. So I'm very proud of our police department, our fire department, for making great decisions. And my special thanks goes out to the residents that are the volunteers. And it goes from the committees all the way from this lady coming in and talking about saving a tree. So I will write you a check for $50 to go to the tree. So, and I challenge everybody to help out. So with that said, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll conclude it. I'm going to thank the peer committee. I was on the peer committee, I'm no secret, so I know these guys well, and I think they do great work. Thought they did 2 years ago as well. So I do want to see the peers succeed, and I think there's a lot of good ideas, a lot of work ahead to make it, bring it to fruition. But I think we can do that. Another aspect of the peer, it's public knowledge. We're going to have a mediation session to discuss the cost disputes. We'll be meeting with Administrator Vincent and our town attorney with a mediation arbitrator on Friday. So hopefully we'll make some progress there. The tree poisoning, I do take that very seriously. I do know the police are looking into it. It's premature to say anything as an investigation is ongoing, but they are taking it seriously. I was speaking with Interim Chief Davis just today, and I look forward to progress very soon on that. 4th of July, I heard a great story from one of our volunteers who was selling T-shirts at the festival, that a woman came up saying that with 5 kids, it was great to have an event she could go to that didn't cost an arm and a leg and was so much fun for the kids. And that really is the epitome of the family beach. And it shows why we do spend on events. There's no way to clearly say that translated into X number of dollars, but the goodwill that Surfside Beach gets out of that, the stories people tell, spread to their neighbors and so forth. And, you know, when those kids are tired, they're not gonna go up to Myrtle Beach or down to the Marsh Walk to have dinner. They're gonna stick in town. Even if they cook at home in their condo, they can buy from our grocery stores. So it's just a good way to advance the interests of the town. Last thing I'll say is there are some quarterly newsletters, and I'm gonna get, Tabitha's not gonna get mad at me now. I'm gonna remember to say, if you did not get a quarterly newsletter, they're on the back table there. I hope there's still some back there. Pick one up on your way out. With that, we are concluding our comments. Yes?
I'd like to say something else.
Go ahead.
I don't know if y'all noticed in the parade how many rental carts were decorated and in the parade. That is awesome. That means people that have come to town, they've rented a golf cart, and they said, hey, I want to be part of the parade. And they decorated the carts and were a part of it. And I would venture probably 25-30% of the carts were rentals, which I think says a lot for the town. Thank you.
No
I know I've
problem.
already had my turn. But
That's fine. We aim to please here. So with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to exit the regular meeting and enter executive session. And you can, whoever makes it can read. Anybody want to?
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walls.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the regular meeting to enter executive session pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-4-7A1, discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee.
Committees.
Committees.
Okay, go ahead. Come get
Section 30-4-70A2, discussions of negotiations to proposed contractual agreements, period.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We are now going to executive session.